Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto only saved Uchiha women in Uchiha massacre time travel. Before I start, please support for more amazing content, and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by Green Tea Bubbles and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1 Prologue. Sakura. Sakura feels ethereal. She feels powerful, as if she can transcend time, space, all of the universe. As if she already has. Sakura is dead. Sakura smiles. Her head is light, her body bubbly, and she feels wrapped in a cocoon of something precious, delicate, and effeminate. Even though her eyes are closed, she can feel the overwhelming warmth of the white light shining upon her, engulfing her being. It is a comforting feeling, one she has not felt in a very long time. Sakura opens her mouth and breathes again, taking in the clean air. It's free of smoke, and dust, and ash, and nothing smells of decay and death. Rather, she can feel spring tingling on her toes, the scent of roses and old lavender. Old lavender, like the perfume her mother used to love. Sakura takes in another guttural breath, inhaling the sweet scent. It's been a while since she's seen her mother. She had made sure to move her parents away from Konoha once the war started, to a town far, far away from the fighting. Are they even alive now? She hopes so. She'll visit them once the war is over, once the fighting stops. When Madara is dead and gone, Sakura chokes. Sakura remembers. She remembers the final battle, not the battle which ended the war. That one was tame compared to this one. This battle which Sasuke started that caused another fucking war wasn't one enough for him. Sakura's eyes snap open. A lone bulb sways above her, but there's a string of toys arching over her cradle, casting millions of shadows across her vision, dancing like stars. I'm dead, she realizes. This is my heaven. So she cries and cries, staring at the toys which dangle above her, which seem all too familiar but unreachable at the same time. Vaguely she hears footsteps. But fuck if she cares, after all. Sasuke's just been a fucking twat, and who knew if Naruto was alive or not, but what would Konoha do without their Hokage? The footsteps reach a stop. Right next to her. Suddenly, a face encompasses her vision, young, full of life and smiling. Sakura freezes, and stares up in shock. It's her father. Hello Sakura-chan, he coos, and her eyes dance over his features, memorizing every contour, every color illuminated in her vision. She's dead, yes, but he's here, so is he dead too? But that would mean that they'd been found. And her mother. Sakura starts crying again. Oh no, her father sighs, don't cry. Then he reaches down and scoops her up, and through the tears Sakura can make out the other features of her old room. But why is everything so big? Nanami! Her father calls. Sakura's crying again. I think she's hungry. A new onslaught of tears break through at her mother's name, flowing and flowing down her fat cheeks, clouding up her face and ears till she can't hear a single word that's being said. Another face appears above her, and this time it's her mother. Sakura barely has time to process the shock, the love, before her mother takes her from her father's arms and snuffles her in her chest. And Sakura realizes, I'm a baby, and then, I could change things. I could change the future. Sasuke. Sasuke feels tired. He feels wise, as if he's lived through beauty and horrors, seen all the magic of the universe. As if he's lived and died. Sasuke is dead. Sasuke has always been a pragmatic child. Fugaku, he hears his mother say, don't push him. You know Itachi was a prodigy. The chances of it happening again are slim to none. Don't do this to Sasuke. Mikoto, his father replies politely, but his tone has a hint of warning. You don't need to worry. The statement comes out as more of an order than a reassurance. Sasuke sighs and turns around abruptly, heading back to his room. Despite his efforts to remain silent, his parents still drop the conversation. Silently, he curses his young body for being so inexperienced and clunky. You'd think after all he went through at least he'd be able to control his own body properly. He's only one, his mother resumes in a quieter tone. I know, Fugaku replies. And he will be too soon. I will administer the same test I gave to Itachi. That is final. There's a beat of silence, and Sasuke can almost see his mother's look of frustration. Finally, there's a sigh. I'm going to take Sasuke to the market. Of course, Fugaku replies graciously, we need eggs. Sasuke sighs and leans back against the wall. A second later, his mother emerges. Come Sasuke, she says gently, let's go to the market. He follows her down obediently, head high and shoulders squared. He may be a quarter the size of Fugaku, but he will refuse to let this man rule his life second time around. This time things are going to be different. He's going to change things, fix things for the better. He knows what to do now, even if it's taken a death. His mother unlocks the door, not sparing his father another glance. Sasuke steps out after her and glances at Itachi, reading serenely on the porch. Going to the market? His Ototo asks, raising an eyebrow. Yes, Sasuke answers back evenly. Itachi nods before turning to their mother. Don't forget to buy tomatoes. Sasuke winces. I won't, Mikoto says firmly. She turns to Sasuke, a corner of her lips tilted down in a frown. You must eat all your vegetables, Sasuke. They'll help you grow big and strong, like Itachi. Sasuke's lips curl down into a deep frown. He hates tomatoes, hates what they remind him of a past life, a failed life, and shared tomato soup with Sakura and Naruto with the campfire blazing brightly, or was it a campfire, was it just a fire that destroyed and destroyed? Otoro, Itachi says gently, leaning down and clasping a hand on his shoulder. Sasuke snaps out of his reverie and locks onto his brother's eyes that he had once gouged out. Sasuke shivers. Otoro, Itachi repeats, vegetables are good for you. You should eat them. Sasuke smiles sardonically. That was always like Itachi, looking out for everyone else. He never cared for himself. But that didn't matter. Sasuke would fix it this time around. Pulling the strings from the edges, he changed things. This would be a new life. Naruto feels lonely. He feels empty, as if all the bonds, the magic he had made, have disintegrated. As if he's back to being hated. Naruto is dead. Naruto sits in the back of the academy classroom, surveying the class. It's the first day of his school, the Hokage's gift for him on his 5th birthday. He looks down at the people he's seen live and die. People he's seen betray him, people he's seen love him. He looks down at his people, except he is not Hokage anymore. He is just a little boy. Naruto chuckles softly. In front of him, a civilian boy looks back and snarls, revolted. Next to him, Sakura plays with her hair, staring at the back of Sasuke's head. Naruto swallows harshly. Sakura he killed. Indirectly, but killed nonetheless. She's so young now, full of life, green eyes wide, romanticizing Uchiha Sasuke in a way her older self would never be able to do so again. He would do things right this time. Sakura would not die. Neither, as a fact, would Sasuke. He risks another glance at his old future teammate. He sits tall and proud next to another Uchiha boy, a cousin of some sorts. His posture is impeccable, as expected of Fugaku's son, but his eyes occasionally drift this way and that, betraying his inattention. Sometimes they flicker to Sakura. Naruto notices. Did they do that before? He can't seem to remember. He looks back at Sakura. For a second her green eyes flash, replaced by something dark, sinister, festering with hate. But then it's gone. Maybe I'm imagining things, Naruto thinks. After all, that's a look he's seen plenty of times. On older Sakura, on older Sasuke, even on himself. He must have projected his thoughts onto Sakura. The girl at this age, even the bumbling 12-year-old, would never be able to muster up enough emotion for something that deeply entrenched. Naruto glances back to Sasuke. For a second they meet eyes. Had he been staring at him? But then Sasuke looks away again. There'd been a flash of recognition, he's sure of that. Or maybe he was dreaming again. After all, he's alone this time around, just like always. Except he won't be soon. This time around, he'll fix things, make things better. I can change the future. This will be a new life. Within his belly, Kurama stirs. I have to keep up appearances. They must not know I came back, but I'll have to train in secret. I can't be unprepared this time around. That won't do. Chidori's good, but it's not enough. Maybe a new version of the Rasengan? But I can't do that with this body. Medical jutsu is it then? Though it'll be useful knowing all those stupid missions Team 7 always seem to get. I must keep my secret though. I will show no weakness or mercy, so that I may time travel. What a curious seal. Who'd have thought Kurama's little trick really worked? Chapter 2, The Early Years. Sakura, and you're free to go now. But remember to do your homework. I know that it's only your first day, but it's paramount that as ninja, you take your duty seriously. Irika gives them a nervous smile before turning back to Azumi-sensei. Good job, Azumi says to Irika, patting the newly minted chunin on the back. It's his first day on the job and it shows, Sakura thinks. He doesn't really think a bunch of 5-year-olds know what paramount means, does he? They can barely grasp the concept of duty. Nevertheless, Sakura takes her textbook and dutifully folds down the corner of the page of homework for the week. All around her, the kids are already scrambling up. Funnily enough, even though Sakura's been praised for her fantastic memory, she can't remember her first few years of childhood. She remembers the bullying clearly, but even that didn't start until her second year at the academy. In fact, did she even like Sasuke at this age? Better to keep the ruse up anyway, just in case. Sasuke at 5 is still a prat though. But now that his face is free of the damaging effects of overuse of the Sharingan, Sakura is reminded every time she looks at him of his beauty before power corrupted it. It would be a face which withstood the test of time, the test of the curse seal, but one which would ultimately be scarred and deformed by the Sharingan. It was truly a devastating weapon, the Sharingan, and now that Sakura was back, she was going to do everything in her power to stop Sasuke from gaining the Sharingan. After all, it would rip the world apart, that thing. Which meant wave was to never happen, if she could help it. Sakura quickly glances over at Sasuke, making sure to blush as she does so. He's chatting animatedly, well, as animatedly as he can, with Hyuga Hinata, interestingly enough. Hinata too is a lot more confident than her older self, which is strange. What had caused such a drastic change in the young girl? She even looks Hyuga, but if Hinata's independent this time around, for one reason or another, that means Naruto is absolutely alone. Sakura pauses, contemplating a glance back. She's avoided contact with him to the best of her ability so far, not that it's any difficult. Considering her parents buy into the same propaganda sold on the Nine Tails destruction, and the most she's seen of him is little glances in the market. She hates leaving him alone this time around, and Cammy, it's been 5 years. But she knows that she must keep the past predictable. If nothing changes, the future will play out just as it's supposed to. And that means leaving Naruto alone, even though she knows he's hurting. But she'll make it up to him, once everything is done and dusted. If the past's predictable, then she can control it. This time, things will end after the 4th Shinobi War, for good. She'll get Sasuke, kunai him between the ribs, before he can ever think of starting another war. She glances over at Sasuke again. The bastard really does look innocent. Hey, you wanna play? Sakura whirls around quickly, hands instinctively reaching for her kunai pouch, even though it's not there. Ami stands in front of her, excited look on her baby cheeks. Immediately Sakura registers that this is the girl that would later tease her about her forehead. Sorry, Sakura says, for more reasons than one. I have to go home. That's cool, Ami shrugs, before moving on to the girl next to her. Sakura releases a deep breath. She's got a lot to work on if a simple civilian child can startle her, even more if she can't sense her coming. She frowns. She's been storing chakra into her strength of 100 seal, building it back up in her forehead. But perhaps her excess chakra would be better used honing her skills to the level they were before. Sakura hops off the desk and waddles. She can't even call her walk a walk, out the door and into her courtyard. Class had finished at 2, but she told her parents to pick her up at 5. That gave her 3 hours to work on her training. She supposes the first thing to do would be build up her chakra reserves. After all, as a civilian she's already disadvantaged, but she's not quite sure how to do that. Her reserves had been built up with Tsunade-sama's help, except her old mentor's techniques were much too intense, and would be stilting for the growth of someone her age, which meant she needed specialist help, more specifically, training received by children in clans. Then came the question of which clan. Her easiest choice is the Yamanaka, considering Ino would probably be the easiest to befriend. However, the Yamanaka clan's specialized jutsu is one that requires precise chakra control, one of the reasons why Ino also learned medical ninjutsu, and that is the one sector Sakura doesn't need help in. That leaves the other girls, boys of course, she would never talk to. Not at this age, if she was to remain inconspicuous. Except the only other clan girl is Hinata unless she wants to seek out girls from other years, like Kiba's sister Hana? Sakura shakes her head. That won't do, she'd attract too much attention. Which means Hinata. Plan formulated, Sakura steps back and waits outside the classroom for Hinata to emerge, and indeed it's only a minute before the young girl emerges, followed by Sasuke. Sakura's body locks up and her heart beats strong, a steady thud-thud against her chest. She hasn't talked to him, has seen him less than Naruto, in fact, considering how isolated the Uchiha are at this time, and this is the first time she's seen him in full, 5 years old and uncorrupted. Sasuke looks up at Sakura, and his speech falters. Sasuke, Sakura blurts out. Then she curses inwardly. What was that? Immediately, she plasters a fake look of adoration. Sasuke-kun, she corrects herself. Hello, Hinata-chan. Hello, Hinata replies calmly but firmly. Sakura-san, is it? Sakura nods robotically, determinedly ignoring Sasuke's penetrating gaze. Even for a 5-year-old he's intimidating. I was wondering if you wanted to hang out. Ami emerges a second later and glares at her, along with another civilian girl. Cammy, the back of Sakura's mind thinks, is this what made her dislike me? In front of her Hinata has her lips parted in surprise, displaying the vulnerability that would overtake her later in life. Really? She asks quietly. Yeah, Sakura says with a gentle smile. Sasuke's still staring at her. Wow, Hinata whispers. No one's ever asked me that before. Sakura's eyes soften. They were probably all too terrified. The heir's position is often stigmatized and envied to extremes. The heir position too, to be honest. She glances quickly at Sasuke. His gaze is obscured now by his bangs, but his lips are curled into a smirk. A lurch of distaste rises up her stomach. He reminds her now of the cruel and callous Sasuke who declared another war. Let's go now, she says, resolutely ignoring the Uchiha as she turns her attention back to Hinata. Do you like the park? Hinata's eyes shift to the door. Otosan says I should train until he picks me up. Sakura's smile widens. Even better. That's fine. We can do that too. Hinata breaks into a smile. Really? You wouldn't mind? Of course not, Sakura says gently. Hinata turns back to Sasuke. Do you want to come? Sakura's heart plummets. Say no, say no, say no, say no. Unfortunately, my mum's expecting me, Sasuke says quietly, and Sakura's heart soars. She can't face her old teammate. Not like this. That's fine, Sakura says, a bit too quickly. She links arms with Hinata who starts before resolutely dragging the other girl away. So, Sakura says casually, Uchiha Sasuke? Is he your friend? Hinata wrinkles her nose. No. Boys have cooties. But Otosan says I should talk to him because he's the Uchiha's second son. Sasuke, because he's the Uchiha's second son. Sasuke scoffs. That's the usual mode of thinking these days. Because he's the second son. Everybody sucks up to him because of his position. Girls suck up to him because of his looks. Even back then Sakura, one of the most intelligent person of their generation, was originally infatuated with him because of his looks. Nobody had ever really known Sasuke. He swallows harshly as the door swings open behind him. Naruto shuffles out, brushing past him without sparing him another look. Naruto no doubt if his friend had known what he was now planning to do he'd shout at him, try to dissuade him, but it has to be done, and Naruto's not here to stop him anyway. And the first step is stopping the Uchiha massacre, which means visiting Danzu. Sasuke clenches his teeth. The mere mention of the man still angers him. The image of all the Sharingan implanted in the man's arm will forever be burnt into his memory. He should have killed him at the 5 Kage conference, and got it over and done with. Sasuke takes a deep breath, trying to calm down his angered fever. This time, Danzu will burn. The whole structure of Konoha will burn, and in its place a new system will rise. His own vision of a perfect world. All in due time, he thinks to himself. All in due time. I've waited many 30 years for this. I can wait 7 more. But first he needs to locate Root's base. Sakura would be useful now. After all that time she spent in Root, she'd know the headquarters like the back of her hand. But Sakura's not here. She's dead. Like Naruto. A strange pang tugs at his heart, but Sasuke brushes it away quickly. His plan will do them justice anyway. While they may not have seen it that way, in the end, they will understand. Like the Uchiha, like what even Kakashi used to say, always look underneath the underneath. His parents are waiting for him at home, except waiting might not be the best word for it. After all, Itachi's 10, which means that he's taking his Jounin exams soon, and if his Chunin exams were anything to go by, the clan's in full swing now in preparations. So they probably won't notice if he's gone a few hours. Mind made up, Sasuke sets off away from the academy building and towards ANBU headquarters. He knows where that is, at least. It should be a good starting point, considering Root is a branch of ANBU. Maybe he'll even bump into Danzu, or someone from Root at least. Sasuke pauses, right outside Konoha markets. It wouldn't do to attract undue attention to himself, especially considering his lofty position in the clan. Politics are shaky now and tensions are high. There may be some people around who are willing to risk imprisonment to harm Fugaku's child. Especially considering that, with the way Itachi was progressing, Sasuke is the only viable target. He quickly performs a henge, covering his main features. Uchiha Sasuke has now changed into Yukiko Kitomi, the alias he has carried for 15 years. Uchiha Sasuke smiles, the same fake, plastic smile he's carried for the past 5 years. Yukiko Kitomi has a persona vastly different to his own. In fact, the boy is jolly, not unlike Naruto in many senses. Ironic, as Naruto's alias Makito Terumi had been silent, biting and sarcastic. A lot more nondescript in his appearance now, he weaves in easily through the crowds, eyes scanning the rooftops for any movement. Konoha Markets is situated right in the middle of Konoha for convenience's sake, which also makes it the most commonly traveled rooftop road. He himself has used it many times, to get to the Hokage Tower, to report to the administration building, to enter ANBU HQ and to visit Sakura in the hospital. All things he will doubtfully do ever again, if his plan comes to fruition. Finally, Sasuke spots someone of interest, a flash of black signifying an ANBU cloak. Except the figure's gone too fast to follow, and Sasuke realizes that shit. He really can't do anything right now. And his speed is pathetic. Kakashi was Genin at 3. Itachi was ANBU captain at 13. So what is he doing, wasting away here? Fucking hell, he mutters, and a villager looks down at him in shock. Sasuke grimaces and darts away, as quickly as his young body can manage. His current state is pathetic. But who can train him? The answer hits him like a ton of bricks. Itachi. Sasuke turns on his heel and sprints, all the way back to the compound. He only just remembers to drop his henge a corner outside the compound before he speeds in as fast as his legs will take him. The guards stare at him in confusion and bewilderment, but then again they're already used to strange behavior from the elder Uchiha's son. Who's to say the little one will be any different? Sasuke remembers euphorically to suppress his chakra, trying to test if he can get to the training dojo without being detected, and his chest is nearly bursting from excitement. For the first time, Sasuke feels young, power is at his fingertips, and he's going to find it with his brother. Sasuke skids to a halt outside the doors of the family dojo. Taking a deep breath to calm himself, he raises a hand to open the door, but it swerves open before he can. Fugaku stares down at his younger son, face expressionless. Sasuke, he says measuredly. What are you doing here? I want to train, Sasuke breathes, his heart hammering in his chest. He feels very much like a young child again, asking for permission from his father. And goodness, it's been so long. Train? Fugaku repeats, raising an eyebrow. You can do that outside, can't you? Mikoto steps in front of him, crouching down so that she's face level with him. Sasuke, she says gently, this is a very important time for your brother, and he can't afford to have any distractions. The old, petulant Sasuke would have complained, whined about how he wasn't a distraction, but this time Sasuke is different. He has years of knowledge and experience behind him, so he declares, test me. Teach me and then I send something. If I can do it just as well as he can, you have to let me train with Itachi. If possible. Fugaku's eyebrow shoots even higher. Behind his parents, Itachi pokes his head around, peering down at his little brother. Okay, he says quietly. Sasuke grins. Fugaku sighs before opening the door further and stepping back. Very well then, come in. Makoto stares at his father. Fugaku, she whispers, you're just going to destroy his self-confidence. It's on him if he fails, his father shrugs. Sasuke smiles. He won't fail. Not if this is the test he thinks it is. Now, Uchiha Fugaku says, you make 6 seals in this order: tiger, ram, monkey, boar, horse, tiger. Itachi's eyes widen. Sasuke grins. Fire release, giant fireball technique, both brothers say in sync. Correct, Fugaku nods. Itachi, I've seen yours already. Sasuke, you have yet to complete this. Do you know what that means? It means, Sasuke says quietly, that you haven't been kept updated with my training. Itachi raises an eyebrow. Makoto smiles. So you still wish to proceed? Very much. Well then, Uchiha Fugaku says, for the first time a hint of interest entering his eyes, let's move this outside. Naruto, calmness, emptiness, feel nature, feel the world around. Shit, Naruto mutters, his eyes snapping open. His toed cheek bulges before disappearing. Damn it, he sighs, standing up in frustration. This isn't going to work if I keep on stuffing up. Naruto pouts and peers at his reflection in the pond. The faint orange of sage mode is already flittering away, leaving him worse for wear and feeling more amphibian by the minute. Except this has to be done. He's finally got a second chance, and he's tired of working for everyone's recognition. All he wants this time around is Team 7, whole and united, which means that he has to accomplish 2 things. First of all, he has to become strong. He's not going to just sit back anymore and watch things like Wave, Orochimaru and Akatsuki happen again. This time he's going to be strong enough to ensure that his team will never ever break apart, not if he has any say in it. Secondly, he has to make sure Sasuke stays right where he is, which means making sure he's strong enough to ensure that Orochimaru never gets his snares onto the younger Uchiha boy, both of which include learning Sage Mode. Of course, if Jiraiya saw him now, he'd scold him harshly. After all, it's dangerous to reconnect with nature chakra alone, especially since he's not at Mount Maiboku. But he's done it before, he knows how to do it, so it should be a lot safer. But seriously though, it'd be so stupid if he got turned into a toad statue of all things on his second chance at life. Naruto takes another deep breath, inhales, and, what is that QB brat doing here? Naruto groans. Of course, his favorite training ground is incidentally the old Team 7 training ground, which is incidentally Kakashi's favorite training ground. And it had been Kakashi's favorite training ground because it used to be the Uchiha training ground, and his old sensei had enjoyed parading his Sharingan in front of the Uchiha. Naruto breaks his meditation pose and stares in annoyance at the intruders. It's another pair of teenagers again this time, the gate guards, but behind them follow the main family. Naruto groans. Really? They're usually never here because they have their own dojo. Which means that the only reason they're here is to practice big and dangerous jutsu. Kami Itachi's only 10, can't they give him a break? Then another figure emerges, and it's Sasuke. Naruto freezes. Okay, he thinks, time to get the hell out of here. The teenage Uchiha is still waving his fist at him, so Naruto quickly turns tail and runs away into the foliage surrounding Training Ground 23. Except Itachi and Sasuke, congregated in one place? This will be something interesting. He jumps up into the trees, seamlessly masking his chakra, an extremely high-rank technique that Sakura had created, one almost infallible, and one perfectly suited to him. It simply required massive amounts of chakra and not a lot of control. Sakura could only maintain it a few minutes top, but he could last upwards an hour. Beneath him, Fugaku and Makoto stand to the side. Itachi steps forward first and his hand whirls through seals, almost too fast for his eyes to pick up on. Fire release, giant fireball technique, and then the whole forest illuminates, the flames so large that Naruto can practically feel the heat against his skin. It's apparent now the Uchiha's true genius. Sasuke steps up next, and his hands whirl through the same seals, except he's slower, his movements accented by the fumbling of a child. Naruto winces. Sasuke is in for a humiliation, and he doesn't want to see this. There's something strange, something heartbreaking about seeing a boy so innocent corrupted by clan politics. So Naruto jumps off the trees and hurries away, feet flying through the forest back towards Konoha. And then suddenly, there's a loud boom. It ricochets through his ears, and he feels something scorching his back. He breathes in, feels ash and smoke clog his lungs, and he turns back. The forest is burnt black with fire. In the middle of it stands the Uchiha main family. Sasuke's chest is heaving. Naruto pauses. Did Sasuke produce that fireball? Impossible. No one that age could do it, except for maybe Itachi. Of course. Itachi must have performed it again. Anyway, he has bigger things to worry about than the Uchiha coming-of-age passage. He needs to become strong again, so that no matter what befalls Konoha he will be strong enough to protect the people he loves. Naruto shoots off through the forest again, using chakra to enhance his speed. It's a useful technique he's been employing. It allows him to make his way through the village at a speed too fast to be recognized by civilians, meaning that he escapes the usual taunting, while also allowing him to practice his chakra control. He's always only been able to employ big, powerful techniques. This was actually a training exercise Sakura had suggested to him before. He swallowed harshly, his step faltering for a second before he regains his balance. Before she died, she had told him that it was a technique usually used in emergencies, for it required quite both a substantial chakra reserve as well as control. However, this technique was unique because it could be adapted to be performed with a massive chakra reserve and less control. It allowed him to gradually reduce the amount of chakra he used until he could stabilize his control. After all, the Rasengan, one of his biggest weapons, needs a certain amount of control he doesn't have right now. He slows down his speed as he enters Konoha markets, making sure not to attract too much extra attention from the ninja. Everyone knows the markets are hotspots for ninja, but the walk to the Hokage Tower is only 5 minutes from there anyway. He had spent the first few years of his life rummaging around Konoha Library for anything that would be of use, but there had been nothing. Konoha Library is communal, and that means that there's nothing worthy training related in there. But he had tried anyway. After all, he had nowhere else to try, did he? But that had been back then. He hadn't been strong enough yet, and he hadn't been officially instilled in as an active member of the Konoha forces. Now that he'd begun his first day at the academy, he had a small level of clearance, enough to get him inside the Hokage Tower without a special invite from the Hokage himself. After all, when he had been younger, the only way he could get into the tower was through a special invitation from the Hokage himself. It was the same with all civilians. It ensured that they wouldn't be poking their heads into ninja business. If they had complaints or requests, they could submit a request to the Hokage or go to the administration building. But the Hokage Tower was strictly off limits. But, now that he can get in, he'll be able to explore the area to his liking. Though he doesn't have the clearance to look at any records or books in the tower, he has the skills to do it secretly. It's a little-known fact, in fact, that he hadn't even known about until his Hokage training. But since the Hokage practically spend their lives in the tower, they have their own private library to dig into for their leisure. It also doubles as a secret evacuation room, hidden in a chamber underneath the tower. In case of enemy attack, visiting foreign dignitaries could be led there blindfolded. The path to the library was also ambiguous, and full of long winding staircases to trick the dignitaries into thinking they'd left the tower, when really they were simply underneath it. Except that often means that getting to the library is a lot more trouble than it's really worth. It's much easier for the Hokage to simply summon a Chunin to grab him, whatever he needs. So while most of the stuff down there is probably outdated, Naruto's also quite certain that no one will notice anything missing. Unfortunately, there's nothing too drastic in the library, nothing like the Scroll of Seals, but it'll be enough to get him some basic techniques which will help him steal the Scroll of Seals. Naruto halts at the entrance of the Hokage Tower. A few ninjas standing in the reception turn at his presence, some grimace, but most just ignore him. Nevertheless, he proudly walks through the door. And this time, he knows he's cleared their security system because no Chunin comes to escort him out. Naruto casually strolls past the reception and towards the general staircase. Except this time, rather than taking the stairs up, he climbs over the railing onto the other side and leans down, feeling for the cracked panel which signifies the entrance to the library. He contemplates setting up a sound jutsu. After all, the opening of the panel makes the same noise as the front door, another trick for the blindfolded dignitaries. But his control isn't that good yet. He could barely do the jutsu at full strength, so it'd be better not to risk it. Sakura used to take care of stuff like this, and if he stuffs it up, his burst of chakra will only bring some ninja over, which will lead to questions he doesn't want to answer. Old school it is then. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, he whispers. A second Naruto appears who jumps back over the railing, walking back into the reception. He counts to 10 in his head and clicks open the panel, just as his clone dramatically trips and smashes a potted plant. There's groaning and shouting on the other side, and his clone quickly makes a dash for it, chased by ninja, of course. Naruto takes the opportunity to slide down into the crevice and closes the panel up behind him, sealing himself in. His clone will disappear once it's far away enough from the ninja, so as not to cause suspicion. In the meantime, Naruto whispers a fire jutsu and blows. It's weak, his chakra control is rubbish, and he's no fire elemental either, but it's bright enough just to show him where the torch is stashed. He quickly makes his way over and grabs the torch, whispering another fire jutsu to light it. Whoever would have thought he'd be using Sasuke's favorite jutsu, this many years in the future, or the past? Shaking his head, Naruto continues his way through the dugout cavern. It's a long path. One WHCH makes its way all the way to Konoha markets before spiraling back. It's a long walk, but Naruto doesn't want to risk running. His torch might disappear and he can't read without light. It's only equipped with enough fuel for one journey. In fact, he need to go and buy more to replace this trip. Finally, he reaches the stone door which guards the library/evacuation room. It's protected by a seal, which is new, but Naruto's seen enough seals to last him a lifetime. 2, in fact. This one's a simple one anyway. But he supposes the only person in this lifetime who really knows seals is Jiraiya, and the Toad-nin would never need to break into a library such as this. So it is useful against intruders, he supposes. Just not him. A few jolts of chakra to the pressure points of the seal cracks it open, and the doors swing wide. The torch won't last much longer, so he'll need to pick his books quick. A quick scan of the library confirms that the layout is pretty much the same as it was before. He heads straight to the ninja textbooks. He grabs as many as he thinks he can fit under his jumper without looking inconspicuous. The ceiling theory. Minato Namikaze. The 7 fundamental rules a ninja should know in perfect. Ebisu. Taijutsu at its finest. Meido Juno. The causes of war and its devastating effects. Who have you been training with? Itachi asks. Sasuke grimaces, freezing halfway down the stairs. He had thought no one was home, but Itachi sits on the couch, at home for once, reading another one of Konoha's historical encyclopedias. He'll definitely need to improve his sensory skills. Training with? Sasuke repeats cautiously, slowly recommencing his walk down the stairs. Yes, Itachi replies calmly. Your skills are much better than the Uchiha elders had predicted. Evidently you've had help. Who? Sakura pauses. He hadn't been training with anyone. The reason his progress is so drastic this time around is because there's no more hit and miss with his training. This time, Sasuke knows what to do, and how to do it. But Itachi can't know that. He's smart enough to know truthfully that the old Sasuke would have never achieved this level of progress without outside help. Hyuga Hinata, he finally says. It's the most plausible option he can think of on the spot. They're both in the same academy class, and she is, at least in the Uchiha's eyes, strong enough to help him improve. She's also a Hyuga, an added bonus, as it meant that hopefully the Uchiha would be less willing to chase her down to verify his story. The Hyuga heiress Itachi muses, placing the encyclopedia on his lap. Interesting. Have you seen her recently? Was this a trick? Sasuke always got the feeling that Itachi was playing him, manipulating him in some way or another. No, he decides to say, staying on the safe side. Itachi continues to eye him steadily, as if waiting for him to say something else. But Sasuke doesn't know what to say, even though his brother still seems like an untouchable idol, someone who doesn't feel quite real to him. His brother smiles sadly. Why don't you go and see father now, Sasuke? I hear he promised you a master instructor in a field you see fit to help with your training. Sasuke nods briskly before closing his eyes, trying to reach out with his chakra to pinpoint his father's location. Is he in the dining room? He tries. Itachi smiles. Close. He's in the meeting room. Sasuke sighs, it was close. The 2 rooms are next to each other, but his sensory skills are still a bit muffled. Then again, all this chakra perception and control had never been his forte. That had always been Kairin's, or Sakura's. Go on now, Itachi prods. Yeah, Sasuke mutters, rolling his eyes. He makes his way through the house, noticing that it's strangely empty for this time of the day. It's 5 o'clock, usually prime time for ninja to be returning from missions, reporting to his father. Or at least the cooks would have started preparing for dinner, but his Ota-san is in the meeting room. What was going on? A little eavesdropping seems to be in order. After all, how's he going to begin the intricate task of stopping the massacre without knowing all the details? He suppresses his chakra a few hallways away from the meeting room, the only skill he's managed to somewhat master. He should be safe from detection, especially if they aren't looking for him. Sasuke quickly slips into the dining room and presses himself against the wall. He sends chakra to his ears, Sakura's signature technique, actually, but she doesn't know he's copied it, and amplifies his hearing. Kidnapped. The heiress? A gravel voice grounds out. It has that familiar croaking sound of the balding elder Mako. Yes. His father. The Hyuga have retrieved her though. She's quite shaken, and seems to have withdrawn in on herself. Hyuga Hinata is much weaker now, and will be no competition for Sasuke. He will be the strongest of his class. Sasuke tenses. Hinata had been kidnapped? Had this happened the last time around? But then again, when he talked to her before, she had seemed a lot more outgoing than she was previously. So this was supposed to happen. Unsure, Sasuke presses his ears closer to the wall. What's going to happen? They want Haishi's body. All the better for us. No. They're sending his twin? He's the one with the son, the boy genius, they're calling him? Yes. Hyuga Niji. Maybe with his father gone we can make a move. The Byakugan is strong in that boy. Sasuke reels back. Had the Uchiha coveted the Byakugan? He'd never known. Were there plans for the extraction of the Byakugan? Was this part of their rebellion against the city? Would these plans have gone through without the massacre? We shall have to see. Are the informants in the Hyuga still loyal? Yes, Elder Mako. Good. I've also been thinking, Fugaku, how's the Sharingan in that boy of yours? Itachi is becoming quite adept. On his last mission he managed to genjutsu a whole squad of jounin. Wonderful. Maybe we'll get him to do the same to the Hyuga informants. Speaking of informants though, we must look through the clan again. The Hyuga have people within, I'm sure of it, and the Hokage does too. We need all the help we can get. Maybe it's time bringing that boy of yours to these meetings. I am sure Itachi will be honored, Fugaku says graciously. Wonderful, Elder Mako says quietly. Now. I believe I sensed your second child nearby, Fugaku. Perhaps he is looking for you. After all, I heard about that impressive display of the giant fireball technique. As good as Itachi's was, his was maybe even better. How is Sasuke's progress? What instructor do you have in mind for him? As you said, a female voice cuts in sharply. Sasuke starts, Mikoto. His mother is at this meeting too. Whatever they were discussing must have been important. He frowns, he'll have to be more vigilant. He can't miss important meetings like these. As you said, his mother repeats, softer, you sense Sasuke nearby? Let's not keep him waiting. Or have him eavesdrop on something not meant for young ears, eh? There's a beat of silence in the room. Of course, Elder Mako says graciously. This meeting is adjourned. Fugaku, feel free to find your second son. Sasuke clenches his teeth and darts out the dining room, shooting through the hallways before he can be spotted by anyone coming out of the meeting room. All he had gotten from that conversation was a kidnapping of Hyuga Hinata and the gradual induction of Itachi into the Uchiha higher circles. Wait, Itachi had sent him here after their conversation about Hyuga Hinata. And coincidentally, allowed him to eavesdrop on the. Of course, if Hyuga Hinata had been kidnapped, he couldn't have been training with her. Which meant when his father asked him, Sasuke whirls around. Oh, Oto-san, he stutters. He really needs to work on his sensory skills. Except he's never really had to before, not with Karen and Sakura around, and he's not quite sure how to go about doing it. Now, we agreed that it would be impossible for you to keep up with Itachi's training regime, so an instructor is in order. Yes, Sasuke nods, feeling as though he should answer considering to the menacing stare of his father's. Is there a field you would prefer? Or would you like a general instructor? Sasuke pauses. His father is being unusually generous. He must have something planned, but what? Kenjutsu, Sasuke says, but it comes out more as a question than an answer. Nonsense, his father says immediately. Physically you are not yet capable of doing well in Kenjutsu. Pick something else. Sasuke opens his mouth. Actually, his father cuts in, you shall have a general instructor. The elders and I believe that your skill set is most partial to speed and ninjutsu. I know of someone who may help. Not Ebisu, Sasuke blurts out. His father raises an eyebrow. You know of him? Unfortunately. Yes, Sasuke grits out. It is not him. Your instructor will be an Uchiha. Of course, Sasuke says quickly. I believe, Fugaku says, something faintly reminiscent of a smile on his face, that you have heard of Uchiha Shursui? Sasuke's head shoots up. Yes, but only as the cousin whom Itachi killed. He is known as Shursui of the body flicker, his father says. The name rings a bell in Sasuke and he recalls the famed technique. It's the closest he can get to fast, not counting the fourth Hokage. Thank you, Sasuke says quietly. It was your brother's idea, Fugaku says gruffly, turning away. He convinced Shursui to go along with it. Sasuke nods, his throat bobbing. Oh, Fugaku says, turning back. And before I go, who have you been training with, Sasuke? Your progress has been quite impressive. Even Elder Mako has noticed, and he is not easy to please. Yamanaka Ino, he says quickly. I've been training with Yamanaka Ino. She's similar enough to Hinata. His father's sense of strength comes from the last name, and Yamanaka is respectable. Plus, she likes him enough to back him up, should the need arise. Interesting, his father muses. Well, I hear Shursui has just gotten back from his mission. He's probably at Training Ground 7 training. Why don't you go and see him? Sakura glances up at the sun again. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and Hinata is a whole hour late. Which is monumental, considering it's Hinata. Which is strange, to say the least. Granted, Hinata hadn't been at school for the last week or two, but Sakura had thought that had just been because of some clan business or something. Or maybe she'd been sick. But whatever it was, she knows that Hinata would have sent her a message to let her know she couldn't make their training session, especially since this one had been in planning for a month. It had been quite hard for 2 5-year-olds to book Training Ground 8, and Hinata had to pull Era's status. So she would have definitely let her know if she couldn't make it. Hinata was polite like that anyway. It doesn't help that next to her on Training Ground 7, Uchiha Shursui is training like there's no tomorrow. Or maybe he's just training. Whatever he's doing though, it still highlights to Sakura the tremendous power gap she has to overcome. Uchiha Shursui jumps up into the sky and flings 10 kunai down onto the ground. Then, a millisecond later, he flickers to the ground and tries to catch the kunai. He manages 8. The rings land perfectly onto his fingers, but the other 2 he misses. One kunai slices open his left hand, the other lands harmlessly on the ground. He sighs and pockets his kunai again, reaching for his bag. He pulls out a strip of medical gauze and Sakura resists the urge to call out, I can heal that for you. She does need practice. She hasn't healed a single person since coming back in fear of blowing her cover. Maybe once she trains a bit more she'll be able to hold a genjutsu long enough for her to intern at the hospital, or something like that. She flexes her muscles and closes her eyes, concentrating on her chakra. She's trying to rebuild her strength of 100 seal on her forehead, but it's pathetic at the moment. Granted, she's still 5, but the seal is so weak that not even a hint of purple is showing. A good thing, she supposes, considering that she doesn't need to cover up her forehead with a ribbon or anything to hide it. Funny, she thinks, considering that the bullying will give her the perfect excuse to hide her forehead. But there's no improvement without actual work, so Sakura tries to concentrate on her chakra again, measuring her reserves. They're small, probably half the size of Sasuke's, but they have grown considerably since she started training with Hinata. Her control also mitigates her pathetic size a bit. In a fight, stamina-wise, she should hopefully last just as long as Sasuke. Luckily, there has been one aspect she's managed to build up to her previous level, her sensory skills. That, along with a few other chakra-suppressing techniques, are ones which only require a small chakra reserve and a near-perfect control. And well, Sasuke alert, Sakura sighs. Not cool. She is way too tired for his shit. She should go visit Hinata, see what's holding her up. Maybe there's trouble brewing there? Who knew with the Hyuga? Granted, they had stabilized a lot after the massacre of the Uchiha, but the Hyuga were always just as messed up. They were just better at hiding it. Sasuke still rapidly approaching, and Sakura takes that as her signal to get the hell out of Dodge. She tears out of the compound and into the nearby foliage, cleanly escaping the training grounds. And there he is. Sasuke! She hears Uchiha Shursui exclaim. Fugaku told me you'd be coming here. Oh really? Sakura pauses before silently jumping into the treetops. Sakura's specialty has always been medical ninjutsu, Sasuke's his Sharingan/Chidori, and Naruto his Kage Bunshin/Rasengan. But on the larger scale, something Sakura can say she is soundly better than the boys is this: staying hidden. If she doesn't want to be seen, Sakura is not going to be seen. She spikes chakra to her ears and listens. While Shursui seems boisterous enough for an Uchiha, they're still silent compared to the rest of the world. Itachi says you're a great kid. Sakura resists the urge to scoff, and he said that you'd be interested in making yourself a bit faster. Eh? Sakura peers through the trees. Yeah, Sasuke nods. I do. It's my strength. Oh, Shursui says, stroking his chin absent-mindedly. He's a lot more expressive than most Uchihas, Sakura notes, but that makes him all the more dangerous too. Well then, today we are definitely not working on your speed. Sasuke's head shoots up in surprise. What? He says unintelligibly. There's no point in working on what you're good at until you've become unbad enough to make it effective. Unbad, Sasuke repeats. Yep, Shursui grins. Now fight me. Then before Sasuke can respond, he lunges forward. Sasuke's going to get smashed, Sakura thinks vindicatively. But Sasuke dodges, faster than she had ever expected 5-year-old Sasuke to react. She probably wouldn't have been able to do that at Chunin. That was a reaction time achieved through pure grit and experience alone. But the fight continues on before she can ponder any more on his dodge. Shursui seems to be going easy, refraining from using ninjutsu, but Sasuke obviously doesn't have the same qualms. His hands constantly form seals and he shoots jutsu after jutsu towards Shursui. Jutsu she's sure a 5-year-old should not know. Shursui still has the upper hand, but that's to be expected from one of the clan's most powerful members. But Sasuke's good. His speed is fast, his ninjutsu pretty spot on too, and though he hasn't tried genjutsu, Sakura knows that with a brother like Itachi he can't be too shabby at it either. His taijutsu is slightly lacking, but that's a problem future Sasuke certainly doesn't have. The fight ends quickly, and Shursui begins giving pointers to Sasuke, but Sakura is still stuck frozen in the tree. She feels weak. For the first time since she was a genin, Sakura feels honestly, genuinely weak. The fight had exemplified that. While she's been simply going along with her life, Sasuke had somehow gotten strong. Or maybe he hasn't changed. Maybe she isn't as strong as she thought. Maybe her training sessions with Hinata haven't been enough. She can't keep up with someone like Sasuke, someone with clan training, simply through association. Yes, she has to keep the past predictable. But then again, she can make a few changes. Only really big, important things would need to happen. Big things like the Uchiha massacre. Sakura sours at the thought of it. The massacre had destroyed Sasuke, but it had prevented a civil war. Not even future Naruto had really understood the intricacies of the topic, and he'd been Hokage. It's a good thing that she's the one who's back, as the other two would have had grandiose ideas of stopping it. But Sakura understands that it needs to happen. Naruto would have eventually backed her up, but Sasuke wouldn't have. Perhaps she would have become his next target for revenge. Goodness, she needs to stop thinking as if the two of her teammates are still here. It's only her, and she's weak. She's weak, and she needs to change that. Sakura swivels round determinedly, and shuns to the Hyuga compound, not walk, like she usually does. She needs to practice her skills. She needs to get better, stronger. Sakura takes a deep breath and walks towards the gate. Hello, she says quietly. I'm here to see Hyuga Hinata. The Chunin guard looks down quizzically at the 5-year-old girl. Where had she come from anyway? But she seems the heiress age. Must be a friend. Who knew the heiress had those? Hinata-sama is indisposed, he says quietly before pausing. I mean, Hinata-sama is unable to see me. I know what indisposed means. I'm not an idiot, the 5-year-old grumbles. And obviously I know she's indisposed, otherwise I wouldn't have come here, now would I? Now is she sick or something? Or something, the other Chunin guard cuts in ambiguously. Cut the crap, Sakura says, rolling her eyes. Tell me what happened. The Chunin guard frowns. Now look here you. Sakura rolls her eyes and shoots forward. Time to really test her skills. She has no sanban on her. She needs to buy some, now that she thinks of it, so she has to rely on her fingernails. Evidently not expecting an attack, the first guard is caught unawares and she digs her fingers into his neck, sending a jolt of chakra into his pressure point. He collapses down unconscious before a hand grabs her shirt and yanks her back. That's right. The other Chunin guard. What the hell do you think you're? But he doesn't get to finish his sentence because she kicks back, right underneath the knee. If Sakura's ever been anything, it's accurate. He buckles, but he regains his balance quickly. Except his momentary pain had caused him to loosen his grip on her shirt just slightly. Sakura pulls back her fist and punches. The guard raises an arm, hand reaching out to block her hit, but he's not expecting this. No one is expecting the chakra laden behind her punch. Even though she's 5, Sakura shatters his bones. Chakra is power, bitch. He hisses and snarls, his eyes whirling into Byakugan. But it's too late. Sakura pounces on his again, and jabs his pressure point too. His eyes widen and he collapses, neatly falling on top of the other Chunin guard. Sakura smirks. So she's still got it. Bet Sasuke couldn't do that. But she'll need to genjutsu them, make them forget what happened. Oh crap. Sakura hears the footsteps coming leisurely towards her. She had forgotten this was the Hyuga compound. Everyone inside had probably seen the entire battle. Now a stern voice says from behind her, "You just injured 2 of my most dedicated gate guards." Sakura swirls around. An old man stands in front of her, wearing the traditional Hyuga kimono. That means only one thing: he's an elder, and if the gold embroidered around his clothes are any indication, a powerful one too. Swallowing harshly, Sakura bows her head politely. My apologies. I just wanted to speak to Hinata-chan. The old man surveys her quietly. Hinata-chan? Yes, Sakura replies respectfully. She's my friend. Is she? The elder muses quietly. Come with me. Sakura nods obediently and trails after him, not daring to question his motives. He leads her inside the main house and through a myriad of hallways, starkly silent the whole time. The Hyuga scattered around don't seem too interested in her, but then again, for all she knows, they could be watching her from the back of their heads. Finally, they reach a large ornamental door. This is Hinata-sama's room, the elder says quietly. You may speak to her. Sakura looks up in surprise. Is he really trusting someone who just knocked out 2 of their guards to be alone and unsupervised with the heiress? But then again, she wasn't really alone and unsupervised, considering the Hyuga's uncanny abilities. Thanks, she says quickly. The elder nods and ambles away, no doubt to converse with the other elders about the strange pink-haired little girl. Great, Sakura thinks. Her little moment of passion had brought her into the limelight. But it can't be helped. She knocks twice on the large wooden door. There's no response. Sakura knocks again. Hinata? She calls quietly, it's me. Sakura. No response. Sakura bites her lip. Hinata? She tries again, are you okay? Finally the door creaks open a small crack. Hinata peers out, curled in on herself, normally pale eyes ringed with red. Sasuke-chan? She whispers quietly. Oh Hinata, Sakura breathes. What happened? The door opens wider and Sakura slides in. The room itself is surprisingly simple for the luxurious Hyuga compound. There's a small bed pushed against the wall, a small square window, and a bookshelf. It looks extremely unheiress-like, but she doesn't have too long to ponder on the state of Hinata's affairs. The heiress shrinks back to her bed and bundles up against her covers again. Hinata, Sakura says gently, what happened? Hinata's fingers curl around the edge of her duvet. I see cloud. Hinata begins sobbing and Sakura locks up. She feels as if she's back at the hospital again, with Hinata and Naruto, telling Hinata the bad news. That Pain's attack had caused her infertility. Sakura shakes her head quickly, ridding herself of her thoughts. She's in the present now, and she must stick to it. It's going to be okay, she murmurs softly, placing an arm around the heiress and rubbing gentle circles against her arm with her thumb. She contemplates sending massaging jolts of chakra across her back. It's an effective method, tried and tested with hundreds of war veterans who'd gone to the hospital after the 4th Ninja War, suffering from PTSD. But that would probably send alarm signals to all the Hyuga, no doubt looking into Hinata's room right now. I'm here for when you're ready to talk, Sakura opts to say instead, continuing to pat her gently. Hinata hiccups and reaches a hand out across Sakura to grab a tissue. See cloud, Hinata manages to repeat between hiccups. They, but then the heiress's words become too gargled to understand. Sakura continues to rub comforting circles on her back, silently trying to piece together what had happened. She thinks back to her past life, and all the events she had studied. The only thing that had stood out to her immensely that had happened during her childhood was the Uchiha massacre. But there must have been something before that. Come on, she thinks to herself, you've organized Tsunade's files enough times, you should know. That's right, Sakura breathes. There'd been a Hyuga kidnapping. Tsunade had once made her read over it so that she could complete a diplomatic mission to Cloud. Hyuga Hinata had been kidnapped by Cloud Ninja and Niji's father had to be killed. She could prevent that though, couldn't she? Sakura shakes her head. Not really. She's not strong enough. Not at this age. She can't deal with clan politics now. Niji she can't help, but she can help Hinata. In fact, that would be a win-win situation. Sakura shoots up, nearly giving herself whiplash. Sakura? Hinata sniffles, looking up at her determined friend with wide eyes. I'll be right back, Sakura whispers. Then she runs out. She contemplates using Shunshin, but she doesn't know the compound well enough. As it is now, she has to find the elders through her senses alone. And Hyuga are notoriously hard to find. Well, as it is, if she does find them it'll only strengthen her argument. Yes, Sakura grins as she locks onto the elder's chakra signature. She halts in her path and immediately segues towards him, passing many stunned Hyuga. Hi, she finally says when she reaches him, scattering to a halt. The elder looks down at her. Hello, I need to speak to you, Sakura huffs. Then she frowns. If that much work had gotten her tired, she'd need to work on her physical health. The elder looks down at her speculatively. Alright then, he finally says, go on. Not here, Sakura says determinedly. And you might want to call in the other elders. He eyes her carefully. You know I'm an elder? Yes, Sakura nods. You have on the traditional Hyuga garb. Impressive knowledge for a civilian child. Sakura's not surprised he knows who she is. Most clans, especially ones as shrewd as the Hyuga, keep tabs on their children and their associates. Very well, he says. Luca, call Arumi and Ju. Sakura can't see anyone near them, but she supposes the Hyuga have their own strange way of communicating. Seemingly satisfied that his order has been heard, the elder waves a hand. Follow me, he says, and this time Sakura pays careful attention to their path. After all, she's sure he's taking her to the Hyuga meeting room. When they arrive, Sakura notices that their meeting room is the luxury that she had expected of Hinata's bedroom. A chandelier hanging from the ceiling, plush seats and a polished mahogany table. Take a seat, the elder gestures. A branch member rushes forward and places a pile of cushions onto a chair. Eloquently, using all the poise she'd learnt as a dignitary for Tsunade, Sakura jumps onto the chair. With all the cushions under her, she is somewhat eye level with the rest of the chairs. The elder takes a seat opposite her and eyes her. He's trying to intimidate her, but Sakura's had the rakeage try and fail. A Hyuga elder is nothing. His gaze finally relents when the other two elders join him. What's happening, Hoshiko? This better be important. The woman, Arumi? Turns her annoyed stare to Sakura. You child. What do you want? She can't let her attitude bother her. If there's anything she's learned from her countless diplomatic missions as Tsunade's right hand, it's that you must maintain your cool, no matter what the opposition does. It has come to my attention, Sakura says measuredly, that Hinata-sama's life was placed in jeopardy recently. Ju leans back. Impressive vocabulary for a kid. Arumi continues to eye her hardly while Hoshiko watches the whole proceeding with a level stare. I propose, in the interest of Hinata's safety, I'd be trained as her bodyguard. Unnecessary, Arumi snaps. She has one. Hyuga Niji? Sakura raises an eyebrow. All three elders snap to her. How do you know? Ju asks quietly. You. A civilian girl. Hinata-sama told me, Sakura fibs, her facade twice as confident as she is within. And do you think he can effectively carry on with his duty when his father dies in front of her? Do you think he will be free of resentment? Hoshiko's eyes narrow. Sakura notices shadows begin to congregate outside the door. Hyuga ninja are ready for the order to incapacitate her if she proves to be a threat. You know too much, girl. How? It was the logical, obvious answer, Sakura says slowly. She doesn't want to get Hinata in trouble, so she can't keep saying that Hinata supplied her with information. Plus, Hinata probably doesn't even know about the plan. So that means she has to use her 25-year-old brain backed with experience and insider knowledge to answer a question a 5-year-old would definitely not be able to. Cloud operates under the motto "a head for a head." It has a history of settling disputes over an exchange of dead bodies. For example, 20 years ago, a Suna ninja caused the death of a Kumo ninja as a byproduct of his mission. In return, the Raikage asked for the head of a Suna ninja of the same rank. That same year, such a Suna ninja was sent on a diplomatic mission to Kumo, from which he never returned. Ju leans back slowly. You are well read too. Sakura nods sharply. In regards to your situation, it seems logical that they would ask for the head of the clan in exchange for the many deaths. And to prevent outright war from occurring, the Hokage will agree. So the Hyuga are in a predicament. However, there is a solution. The clan head has a twin, father of Niji Hyuga, bodyguard of Hinata. Now how effective do you think this bodyguard will be, knowing that his father is dead as a direct result of his protectee? There is silence as the elders watch her with guarded eyes. Only Ju has a small smile on his face. Plus, Sakura adds quickly, they're not in the same year. Me and Hina-chan, we are. And she told me about Niji, so you know she trusts me. Hoshiko purses his lips. Arumi leans over and whispers something in his ear. Sakura resists the urge to eavesdrop. The Hyuga elders are strung tight right now, and any fluctuation in her chakra will label her an immediate threat, especially with all the information she has just divulged. And she doesn't want the shadows behind her to pounce. Ju eyes Hoshiko too, and an unspoken agreement seems to pass between them. Finally Hoshiko turns back to her. Haruno Sakura, he says carefully, daughter of Haruno Tsubasa and Teru Naomi. Civilian. Uncle Haruno Toketsu, Chunin. Sakura stares back at him, chin up. And that's it, Hoshiko says, leaning back. No more ninja in your family. The Haruno were never really prominent in the line of things. But you show potential. Potential, Sakura thinks. That's good enough for her. Potential can be explored, Sakura says cautiously. Yes, Hoshiko nods. And it shall be. Let us talk training. Suddenly, his eyes flicker to the door. A few moments later it opens. A Hyuga jounin stands at the door, teeth tightly clenched. Intruder alert, he grits out. Arumi stands up immediately. You, she says, whirling around and pointing at Sakura as if the debacle is her fault. Stay here. Do not move. We will talk later. Hoshiko and Ju stand up after her, and the three waltz out. The Hyuga Jounin eyes Sakura carefully before closing the door behind him. Sakura hears the distinct click of a lock. She sighs. Well, this is just great. Naruto, he had taken a risk. A big risk. And it had backfired. Major. Breathe deep, Naruto told himself. Then he heard the footsteps. Breathe quietly, he amended. One of the books he had taken from the library had pointed towards a certain Hyuga text on chakra direction, a technique which would somehow reverse the flow of chakra to help with the unblocking of Tenkutsu points after the gentle fist. It worked because it went against the natural flow of chakra, which made it incredibly destructive, allowing the blocked points to effectively explode, thus opening them again. And he wanted to do that, except with the Rasengan. It was powerful enough, sure, but if he reversed the flow of his chakra, the whole things would become much more deadly, and could be the fraction of difference needed to beat an opponent like Orochimaru, or Sasuke's Chidori. Naruto shakes his head quickly, ridding his thoughts. It's been 5 years. And this time around Sasuke and him will be friends. Plus, he needs to get out of the Hyuga compound first. A certain attempt at stealing the scroll had failed. Spectacularly. He had severely overestimated his own abilities. Sure, his future self would have been able to do it, not that he would have needed to, as he was the Hokage and could do whatever the hell he wanted, but he had thought his carried over experience and knowledge would somehow turn him Uchiha Itachi level overnight. Evidently it didn't. On the bright side, he did manage to steal the scroll. On the other hand, he had tripped multiple alarms while doing so, which means that now, his first and only priority, is to get the hell out of the Hyuga compound. Not that it's going to be easy, considering the bunch of them practically have eyes on the back of their heads. So all he can say is really thank Kami for Kagebunshin. That's probably got the Hyuga all confused. The footsteps are getting closer. Well, this is great, Naruto thinks as he lies crouched behind the stairs. They're pretty much guaranteed to find him now, unless he can somehow take them down and make a run for it. Unlikely. They probably have him flat out on his back in a second, except the footsteps are unusually loud. The Hyuga are usually silent, vigilant, and none of them would be careless enough to announce their presence so obviously in front of an intruder. So a trap? No time to think on it now though, the footsteps have arrived. Naruto springs out from behind the stairs, holding the scroll up in the air as a weapon. Hinata? Hinata squeaks, stumbling back. And then Naruto-kun. The two children stare at each other until Naruto suddenly remembers his situation. His eyes widen and he reaches out and grabs the heiress, pulling her under the staircase with him. Washi squeaks again, but Naruto fumbles over and claps a hand over her mouth. Sure, he whispers, they're chasing me. Hinata's eyes widen and she begins to struggle against his arms. Sure. Naruto repeats desperately. Please. Just trust me. Hinata begins to hyperventilate but she stops struggling. Naruto holds her helplessly, half of him on the alert for other Hyuga presence, the other one trying to figure out how to get her to calm down. Eventually though, she manages to quieten and stop moving. Cautiously he removes his hand. Hinata shoots up immediately. Naruto-kun? She whispers harshly. What are you doing? Naruto smiles sheepishly and holds up the scroll. Wanted this. Hinata looks at the scroll, then at him, and seemingly shrugs. Naruto clears his throat uncomfortably in the ensuing silence. So he says awkwardly, what were you doing? Getting some food, Hinata replies quietly. I've been in my room for a whole day now. Haven't eaten at all. Wow, Naruto breathes. That sucks. How come? Hinata shrugs and looks away. Naruto frowns. This isn't the Hinata he knows. She isn't dismissive, she isn't an ignorer, she isn't a giver-upper. Hinata? He prods gently. What happened? Hinata's lip begins to tremble, and Naruto thinks holy shit I've made her cry. It's been years since he's made a girl cry. Oh Hinata, he says desperately. He reaches forward and pats her on the head, but she latches onto his arm and sobs onto his sleeve. Naruto tenses up, unsure of how to respond. Sakura would have known what to do. Awkwardly, he pats her on the head and smooths out her hair. Hinata? He asks gently. What had happened? It must have been something important to have shaken her up so much. Had this happened last time? It must have, considering he didn't do much to change the way things were. But what? Naruto pauses, thinking back to his Hokage training sessions. Ebisu had been giving him lectures on diplomatic relations, and he had been half falling asleep. But there had been one thing that had stood out to him, the Hyuga kidnapping, except it hadn't really seemed real to him back then. He had never really pondered it much. It had been something long gone, a thing of the past that had no real meaning in the real world anymore. Except, Naruto realizes with frightening clarity, this is the real world. This Hinata, the one crying in front of him, this is the real Hinata. Not the Hinata he left behind years ago. That world, it wasn't real one anymore. This world is real. Naruto stumbles back. Hinata looks up at him through tear-ridden eyes. This whole time, he hadn't really been thinking, had he? He had been selfish, only wanting to be happy himself. But in front of him, the whole world had been crumbling in front of him, and he was going to let it happen. He had lost sight of his ninja way. Suddenly the scroll in his hand seems heavier and much more important than it was a few moments ago. He can't let the world disintegrate before his eyes. No. He's going to save it, this time around. And it's going to be even better than it was before. He needs to be powerful to do that though, and this scroll in his hand will help him do it. Hinata, he says solemnly, grasping her by the shoulders. I need to escape. This is very important. Can you help? Hinata looks up at him, and nods. Good, Naruto says quietly. Now I'm going to go now. Your clansmen are after me. Where's the nearest window? Down the hall and turn right, Hinata says, determinedly wiping away her tears. Thanks, Naruto smiles, you're a trooper. Can you help me check if anyone's around? Hinata nods again and shuts her eyes. She clenches her fists, and her body shakes before she opens her eyes. Byakugan, she whispers. Naruto grins. She had activated her Byakugan a lot faster than those her age normally do. She was an impressive heiress. It was a pity her clan couldn't see past the strength of her little sister and cousin. Was her little sister born yet? No. Hanabi would come later this year. There are a few Hyuga along the corridor to your left, but most are on the other side of compound. They're chasing you? 5 U's? Naruto chuckles, rubbing the back of his hair with his hand. Yeah, it's a clone jutsu. He pauses. Only 5? They work fast. I started off with 20. He turns back to Hinata and gives her a bright smile. Thanks, Hinata, he says genuinely, clasping her hand in his. You were a really big help today. In more ways than you can imagine. Hinata blushes. Why, you're welcome? Anyway, Naruto says, gotta go now. Stay strong. I believe in you, Hinata. She lifts an arm up in a wave, but Naruto is already gone, taking with him one of her clan's prize scrolls. Naruto manages to make it to the window without detection, and the rest of the trip is an easy out. Or maybe that's just because he's on a high, riding on the newfound determination to get stronger, not for himself, but for Konoha. Naruto is no longer just Naruto. Naruto is the Hokage, and he's going to fix things. But of course, he can't do that with his current skill set. Which means training. Which means, unfortunately, the only instructor he can probably get his hands on as the QB brat. It means going through the Hokage, his only supporter. Which means getting the only ninja that wouldn't be of better use anywhere else. It means getting the only instructor whom isn't currently occupied. Konohamaru is only one, which means Ebisu. But he needs this. He needs to prevent one of the most destructive events of all time. He needs to stop the Uchiha massacre. The Uchiha massacre. Naruto's knowledge of time travel has always been limited. It was never talked about much in his past life. It had always been accepted as impossible and thus never pondered on much. His only exposure of it had been when Sakura had a brief obsession with some guy researching it. He failed, she got over it, and it was never spoken of again. But when she did speak about it, he remembered one thing she emphasized clearly. It was keep the past as it is. She must have said it so many times that even Sasuke remembered it. Except he's not here for things to end the way they did. He's here to change things. And if he's to change things, he needs a voice. A voice that will at least be considered in a serious manner. And he's got plans. Plans which involve the Hokage trusting his rational judgment without question. And the first step to that is actually doing well in school. Well enough that the Hokage will see beyond prankster and to future Hokage. Future Sakura would definitely scold him for doing this, but it's only temporary. After all, he's got 3 years to get back to dead last so that he can get into Team 7. And that is of utmost importance. Iruka clears his throat. The class continues to mumble. Pointedly, Iruka pulls out a set of certificates and waves them. Immediately the class silences and Iruka grins. Naruto notices with approval that he's a lot more comfortable teaching now. He seems to have found his niche. Azumi-sensei had retired last year, leaving all the teaching to Iruka. Without the pressure of the authority figure judging him, Iruka is fast becoming the teacher Naruto knew and loved. The only damper on that thought is that, if he remembers correctly, next year will be the year Mizuki started teaching. The Chunin who was supposed to take Azumi's position was an Uchiha, and he had been killed in the massacre. But that won't happen this time around, not if he can help it. Alright then guys, Iruka says, a small smile on his face. Even Kiba is sitting in rapt attention, eyeing the certificates in his hands, even if he looks like he's going to burst from the tension. Are you ready for the end-of-term prizes? Naruto grins just as Kiba finally bursts, whooping up in his seat. You bet. Iruka smiles fondly before clearing his thought. Kiba immediately sits to attention. Now, Iruka says dramatically, eyes glinting. Please keep your applause to the end. I know it's the last day of school, but we've still got 10 minutes left of class. And none of you are leaving until all the certificates have been handed out, so please remain silent until the end. He picks up the first certificate. The whole class leans forward in anticipation. Most enthusiastic goes to Inuzuka Kiba. Kiba cheers, jumping out of his seat. Akamaru crawls out of his hoodie and bounds forwards, licking Iruka on the leg. Iruka hands him his certificate, and Kiba proudly takes his position in front of the class. Iruka picks up the next certificate. Biggest brain goes to Harino Sakura. Sakura blushes and goes up quickly to accept the award. Behind her, Ami and a few other civilian girls snicker. Big forehead they giggle. Naruto rolls his eyes. Really? They have no idea how insignificant their comments are. Sakura has moved mountains, literally and figuratively. She saved the life of the Kazekage's brother at 15, replenished the chakra supplies of armies at 17. She was part of the legendary Team 7 database, but this Sakura looks down, and immediately Naruto is brought down from his high. No. This Sakura is a vulnerable one. This Sakura is the old one not yet scarred by Orochimaru and Sasuke. Naruto freezes. If he changes things, if he makes them for Sasuke, is he destroying Sakura in the process? The Sakura he knows. I can't think like that, he hisses quietly. In the front row, Uchiha Sasuke tenses minutely. Sakura's smile becomes strained. Naruto shakes his head, ridding himself of his thoughts. He must think of the better goal for the future. Most improved goes to Iruka, announces loudly, Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto snaps up to attention and pushes his thoughts of Sakura and Sasuke away from his mind. He was never good at thinking of those sort of things anyway. That had always been Sakura's thing. She'd probably know what to do in his situation. But Iruka is still waiting for his flamboyant reaction, so Naruto grins and cheers, ambling up proudly to accept his award. The other children in his class look surprised at his achievement, but Sasuke is staring at him calculatingly. Next to him, Sakura shuffles away to keep her distance from him. Naruto fights the hurt which suddenly stabs his heart. She can't help it at this age, he tells himself. Her parents have been feeding her lies. Iruka pulls out the last certificate, and Naruto snaps his attention away from Sakura, grateful for the distraction. Best achiever goes to. Naruto leans forward expectantly. He might even have a chance at this. He's been training immensely, readying himself to stop the massacre. Hell, even Ebisu is impressed. This award would definitely raise his credibility, help him to show that his ideas are worth considering. Then hopefully he can influence the Hokage. Just only if he can beat the Uchiha's second son, Uchiha Sasuke. Naruto deflates. Sasuke eyes him, smirks, and goes up to accept his award in thundering applause. Kami. Even as a kid he still manages to be annoying in that Sasuke way of his. The class continues to cheer and Iruka eyes the clock, painstakingly waiting out the last few seconds before the hand ticks to 2:30, officially signifying the end of class. Next to him, Sasuke shifts uncomfortably, but Naruto can't help but smile. Sakura's on his left. Sasuke's on his right. This is the beginning of Team 7. Class dismissed, Iruka calls up through the ruckus. Naruto's smile curves up into a rambunctious grin. Yes, he calls, pumping his fist into the air. Next to him, Sasuke rolls his eyes and turns to meet his Uchiha cousin. Sakura quickly scampers back down to Hinata and the two girls huddle together, away from the other girls of the class. Naruto smiles softly. Sakura's got Hinata this time around, which is different, but perhaps his encounter with Hinata had had more drastic effects than he'd imagined. Who knew? After all, Sakura had always mentioned the intricacies of time travel and the ripple effect and other stuff like that he didn't remember. Sakura is doing fine, which means it's time to focus on Sasuke. Naruto breaks away from the throng of academy students eager for the holidays and out into the courtyard. The massacre is to occur in around 3 months, but to his knowledge the orders were not officially given until the week before. Had Danzo already come up with the idea? Naruto bites his lip. He can't quite remember, but it doesn't matter. He's implementing countermeasures either way. His control has gotten a lot better, not enough, definitely, for the leaf-twirling exercise, but it's more than he could have hoped for last time around. Constant training is his goal this time around, a leaf he's taken from Lee and Guy, actually. But he's refrained from anything too drastic. Weights, he's heard, hinder your development at such a young age, so he's stuck to the simply stretching his limits chakra-wise. He uses Sakura's technique to quickly break away from the courtyard and to the Hokage's tower. Nobody bats an eyelid. They're too used to ninja Shenshin everywhere that an extra blur raises no eyes. Just to be careful though, he stops in the middle of Konoha markets like always, camouflaging himself between the legs of the bustle of people. Reorientating himself, he walks leisurely to the Hokage tower. This time the receptionist doesn't even bat an eyelid as he enters. He's been coming and going from the tower numerous of times this year. Except this is the day his grand plan is going to be put into action. First off, he makes his way down to the library under the stairs. He'd saved enough money by the time he was 6 to buy a muffler for the entrance. This way, he wouldn't have to keep on breaking and replacing the potted plants in the reception. In fact, that also might be why the receptionist is friendlier to him now, Naruto thinks absent-mindedly. The books from the library had proved to be good help, but nothing had come up which he didn't already know. It had provided good insights, however, into child training. That was where he had gotten the information of the weights. Without them, he could have seriously injured himself. He has the last of his books with him today, slung in his backpack. Naruto quickly opens the hidden hatch and jumps down into the hallways, picking up the torch. This should be his last journey down here. He's already pretty much exhumed all of the resources already. 3 years had really exhausted this library. He hasn't been down here in a while too. The last time he'd come down was to pick up scrolls on laws governing Konoha to see if he could find any loopholes in regards to sending people on missions. One of his ideas had been to send Itachi off on an impromptu mission during the time the massacre was to occur. Hopefully that would stuff up the plans a bit, enough for the Hokage to figure out a way to stop it. But that ended up turning into a dead end. He wouldn't be able to go unless the Hokage passed his mission, and the chances of that happening were least to none. But it is a loose end he needs to tie up, Ebisu had gotten suspicious from all the political and administrative questions he had been asking him. All he needs to do now is put those scrolls back, and then he need to move on to bigger things, namely stopping the massacre from happening. Once that is done and dusted, he'll go back to being dead last, and Team 7 would rise again. Naruto quickly sets the books back into the library and pulls out some ink from his bag. Then, he goes to the door and draws the old seal, destroying any signs of his presence. He won't need this library again, although it is a sadness to see it go. It's been almost his second home with all the time he's spent in it, but it has served him well. He's probably a solid 15-year-old Naruto power level now, in some aspects. Naruto sighs, running back to the entrance. He's been slacking off in his training lately. After his research into the massacre, he'd found out that stopping it occurring had been a lot less heroic ninja power wham. And a lot more politics. He skids to a halt in front of the entrance, and places the torch back in its position, refueling it quickly. Sakura would have been better at this, he thinks with a sigh. If she'd come back, she'd know how to stop the massacre, how to sweet-talk the elders or somewhat. That was why she was the best at her job. Naruto pauses just before the entrance, thinking back solemnly to Team 7. While he and Sasuke had always been seen as the front men of Team 7, Sakura had always been powerful in a subtle way. And without her, they would have been nothing. And Sasuke, well, Sasuke is a whole other story. Naruto shakes his head, clearing his thoughts. He jumps up and takes the muffler from the entrance, erasing the last sign of his presence. He'd considered wiping fingerprints and the like, but the chances of someone snooping here were as low as Kakashi revealing his face. Naruto dusts himself off and casually walks back into the reception. Now that that's done, he has to begin the delicate political mission. Making his steps quiet, but not too quiet for an 8-year-old, Naruto walks up the stairs to the Hokage's office. He's been talking to the old man a lot lately. Some have been intelligent, philosophical discussions, others small hints into the Uchiha's doings. But this will be the most important meeting, the suggestion of an idea which will hopefully set the course of the future onto a different path. Naruto pauses suspiciously outside the office. It's starkly silent, which means that either Sarutobi is away, or he is discussing matters delicate enough to warrant soundproofing jutsu. Both which spell trouble. Taking a deep breath, Naruto raises a fist and knocks. There's continued silence on the other side, and Naruto thinks, maybe old man really is away. But then the door swings open. Danza looks across before his eyes slowly travel downwards. Finally, they meet 8-year-old Naruto's. Inwardly, Naruto curses. Naruto? Sarutobi calls from inside. Yes, Naruto says softly, heart hammering in his chest. His hands are clamming up and his mind is whirling at 1,000 miles an hour. Does Danza know about his meetings with the Hokage? Does he know what they've been talking about? He tried to weave in the details through casual conversation, as to appear inconspicuous. But what if Sarutobi had taken that to mean that the things he said weren't classified? In the end, it all came down to, does Danza know? Naruto? Sarutobi calls again, come in. Yes sir, Naruto says meekly. Danza steps back from the door and Naruto scuttles in quickly, head bowed. Sarutobi smiles at him as he enters. Hello Naruto, he says kindly, I hear this is your last day at school. How have things been in the academy? Naruto shoots a nervous glance at Danza. The elder has shut the door and is currently rifling through some of the Hokage's files, looking casual. Naruto shivers. What is he still doing here? He turns back to the Hokage, quickly plastering on a smile. Good, he says quickly, throat bobbing. I got the most improved award. Sarutobi smiles widely. That's wonderful Naruto. Naruto nods, continuing to bob his head as he licks his lips nervously. Then, his eyes quickly dart to Danza. Don't worry about me, Danza suddenly says, snapping a file shut. It echoes through the room with a loud bang and Naruto would have jumped if not for the numerous wars under his belt. I'm just doing some file work. The paper ninja are quite behind lately. His tone is way too friendly. Naruto is immediately on guard, but Sarutobi is still smiling at him expectantly. Yeah. I'm good. Except I am finding some of the new work hard, Naruto says slowly. He has to proceed with his plan, but can we help him? He's going to drag it out. Tensions are too delicate to mess up the planning, especially since his previous meetings have been building up to this meeting. He just needs to drag it out long enough that Danza leaves. I think my class rank will drop soon. To dead last again? Sarutobi jokes. Naruto smiles wanly. That is the plan, yes. He's just setting it up early. Once the massacre is over, he doesn't need to keep in anyone's good graces. How's Sasuke, by the way? Sarutobi asks, his tone perfectly casual. You always talk about him. Well yes, Naruto thinks, that's cause I'm trying to feed you updates on how the Uchiha clan is going, as well as surreptitiously suggesting other courses of action. But I can't do that when he's here. Naruto begins to cough awkwardly, trying to avoid answering. The room sits in stifling tension before Danza stands up and turns to the door. I'll be going now, he says quietly. Goodbye Hokage-sama. Goodbye, Sarutobi answers cordially. Danza walks out of the room, silently shutting the door behind him. Naruto lets out a small breath of relief. So? Sarutobi prompts. He's restless. Well, I mean, he always is. His cousin is too. I reckon there's something going on in the Uchiha, Naruto says casually. His voice is loud again, as in persona, recovered now that Danza's gone. I see, Sarutobi nods slowly. But I mean, I can see why they feel that way, Naruto says, pushing himself up to sit on the Hokage's desk. That had been one of Ebisu's lessons actually. When negotiating, a false sense of intimacy helps to loosen the other party. You know, Iruka-sensei mentioned the other day he did nothing of the sort. But Sarutobi didn't know that there weren't a lot of Uchiha in ANBU Corps. They're all in the military police brigade or something like that. Military police force, Sarutobi corrects quietly. Yeah. That. And I thought it must suck to be so disconnected from your fellow ninja. I mean, it doesn't really foster good friendships, right? Sarutobi hums noncommittedly. I think it would just make things a lot better if the Uchiha got to connect more with the rest of us, eh? Like maybe something like a swap over of commanders or something like that. Ooh, wait. Or maybe you could get them to supervise the Konoha Spring Festival this time instead of the ANBU. That way they could connect more with the civilians. Sarutobi smiles softly. That's quite a good idea, Naruto, but I'm afraid logistically, the Uchiha aren't equipped enough to deal with such a responsibility. But you haven't given them a chance, Naruto points out. This shows them that you trust them with a piece of national security. You trust that they are skilled enough to handle responsibility. It shows that you see them as part of Konoha's defense force. Sarutobi leans back speculatively. Think about it, Naruto says evenly, trying to make sure his tone is perfect. The Hokage may be relaxed around him, but he's still the Hokage. If he senses he's being manipulated. Naruto shakes his head and continues. Even though the festival will be full of civilians, it will also be full of ninja, and no one in their right mind would attack a space so filled with Konoha's trained operatives. The risk is minimal. Sarutobi leans back in his seat. This is an interesting idea, Naruto. It has potential. Naruto nods fervently. Go now. I will think on it. Sarutobi eyes Naruto carefully. Do me a favor, will you, and keep an eye on Sasuke for me? Naruto smiles, his heart rate finally slowing. It is completed. I will. Sarutobi raises a hand and dismisses him. Suppressing a grin, Naruto jumps off the desk. He's done it. He's proposed the idea, and hopefully that, along with the other ideas he's been surreptitiously putting forward every meeting, will let tensions between the Uchiha and Konoha simmer down so that a massacre isn't necessary. But now that he's addressed things from the official side, he has to address things from the Uchiha side. Which means he should try to find Itachi. Except the Uchiha heir is known to be notoriously hard to find, either on ANBU missions or doing dastardly Uchiha business. He would have to be vigilant, and look carefully. No. First, he should find Ebisu. His meeting with the Hokage has run late, and no doubt his instructor is mad. Ebisu gets mad quite easily, Naruto thinks. He swings open the door, and Danza stands right outside. Naruto freezes. Had he been listening in? Had he heard his suggestions? Had he just drawn attention to himself from the commander of ANBU route? And knowing Sakura, that was a position not to be trifled with. If you'll excuse me, Naruto, Danza says carefully, I need to talk to the Hokage. I forgot to discuss something with him. Naruto nods robotically, not trusting himself to say anything. He steps to the side and Danza walks calmly into the office. Mechanically, he closes the door behind him. Danza! He hears Sarutobi exclaim in surprise. You're back. Yes, Hokage-sama, Danza says measuredly. That boy Naruto's eyes widen, but then a sound barrier jutsu hits the wall, and nothing else can be heard. Slowly, Naruto lets go of the doorknob. Did Danza see him as a possible threat now? It'd be best to steer clear of the office whenever he's around. Naruto shakes his head, clearing his thoughts. He's done all he can for today, and he still needs to see Ebisu. Sasuke, is that a rock? With holes? For eyes? Where had he seen that before? Sasuke pauses, adjusting the strap of his bag as he eyes the strange phenomenon in front of him. These children are infringing on his path home, and usually he'd just pull clan crap and get them to scram, but it all looks so familiar. That's right. Konohamaru and his friends, Naruto's little army of followers. Which means, Sasuke looks up. Yep. That's Naruto, with some tall guy in glasses. And they're heading this way. So time to get out of here. Sasuke turns back around, sidestepping the cardboard rock. His parents are expecting him home anyway. Naruto can go do his training with Glasses Guy. Except Naruto had gotten the award for most improved. Sasuke frowns. Had he gotten that last time around? He can't actually remember. His whole childhood had been so tinted with the massacre and Itachi that he can't actually remember any of the mundane things which happened. But there would be no point spying on the blonde anyway. He should just get out of here. Steeling himself, Sasuke continues his walk back to the compound, shoulders squared. He won't look back. Today had been his last day at the academy before the 3-week break, which also means it's also his last opportunity to inconspicuously carry out his plan. He had been extra conversationalist lately, and his chosen topics had been so revealing that Elder Mako had taken to eating with the main family just so he could listen to Sasuke's stories. Itachi, however, always seemed suspicious of his actions. But lately his older brother hadn't been paying too much attention, luckily, so Sasuke's subtle manipulations continued to go on unnoticed. Sasuke sighs. Admittedly though, his plan does go against Itachi's values, but his older brother is too self-sacrificial for his own good. What Sasuke is planning to do, that will benefit them all in the long run. Sure, the Uchiha were at fault in their own way, however nothing they did justified the drastic actions Danzu, that bloody bastard, took to neutralize the threat. Speaking of which, he still needs to find the bloody headquarters of Root. And he's been looking for 3 bloody years. This place is the epitome of well-protected. Times like this he could really use Sakura. Except she'd never agreed to do it anyway. Sasuke sighs again and shakes his head, ridding his thoughts of his other teammates. He reaches the compound and the gate guards let him in wordlessly. His father is probably anticipating his return in the dining room. His mother is probably waiting there too, but for different reasons. She just wants to keep herself informed, though he knows she disapproves of the information he is unknowingly feeding his clan. And Itachi? He's probably off doing something for the Hokage. Pity, Sasuke thinks humorlessly, because the Hokage was so invested in his one informant within the Uchiha that he failed to see the other happenings. They thought that just because Itachi was clan heir he knew everything. But he didn't. No, Sasuke knew everything. Sasuke pauses outside the entrance to the dining room and tests his senses. There seems to be 3 people inside? Maybe 4? No. 3. Sasuke opens the door to the dining room. I'm home, he says. His father looks up from the newspaper. His mother is baking something. Biscuits? Elder Mako is huddled in the corner reading one of the Uchiha clan scrolls. This time Shursui is here too, twirling a kunai around his finger, as he watches Mikoto prepare the biscuits. Damn. There was 4 people. Hey Sasuke, Shursui greets. In a flash, he tosses the kunai. Sasuke narrows his eyes and raises a hand, snatching the kunai midair. Shursui, he greets. How was the academy, Sasuke? His father asks. It was alright, he says levelly. But I overheard the teachers talking in the staff room about us. Oh? Elder Mako says, not looking up from his scroll. The whole family continues their charade of casualness. What did they say? They said that the Uchiha were good for nothing, and that someone I forgot his name Dan something? I dunno. Something about how we should be careful. Very careful. Elder Mako's fingers curl tighter around the scroll. Mikoto hisses as she burns herself on the hot oven tray. Shursui turns his eyes to Sasuke, watching him calculating. And you heard this from academy teachers? Yep, Sasuke says innocently. Usually his family are too engrossed in the new information to pick out the flaws in his story, but Shursui has always been too smart for his own good. Interesting, his cousin says, nodding slowly. Then he turns around sharply and leaves. Where are you going? Elder Mako calls. I need to talk to Itachi, Shursui calls back before disappearing. Sasuke eyes the door with narrowed eyes. Talk to Itachi? Is Shursui? No. Itachi's the only Hokage informant in the clan. Except Shursui does seem to be also exempt from the famed curse of hatred, like his brother. Perhaps he was just going to tell Itachi how his own brother perpetuated the curse of hatred. But he can't think too much on Shursui. He needs to concentrate on stopping the massacre of his family. Anyway, I was training with Kiba Lai and I heard his parents talking about how the Uchiha were getting more and more suspicious. Really? Elder Mako says slowly, fingers tightening even further. Yep, Sasuke says. Not that it's my business or anything, but could you guys act a bit less suspicious? It's bad for my popularity. It says a lot for how immersed the others are in their own thoughts that they don't even acknowledge the absurdity of Sasuke's words. But as long as his warning has gotten through, his mission is complete. The Uchiha have been getting more reckless, and if this keeps going on, the massacre will have more and more grounds to proceed. I'll be going now, Sasuke announces to the silent room. Receiving no response, he leaves. It's time to tackle things from the other side. Now that he's got the Uchiha more hateful but hopefully less bloody obvious, he needs to get to Danzu. After all, at this stage the Hokage and his brother and all the good and righteous people of the world have no idea that a massacre is even a possibility. Only Danzu in that sick little head of his could entertain such a thought. Kami Root was messed up. Funny how Sakura ended up there though, cleaning up the loose ends Danzu left in his wake, trying to rehabilitate all the Root and Bu. She, the most innocent of the team, ended up being corrupted by Root mentality. Sasuke shakes his head, walking back out of the compound again. The 2 gate guards seem unfazed at his abrupt departure. He needs to find Root, but so far his methods had been completely ineffective. He'd started off looking for a particular person, Kabuto to be exact, but he was as elusive as a snake. So he tried to settle for second best, with the one known as Sai who replaced him in the team. God, he hated that kid. But unfortunately Sai too was nowhere to be found. Sai probably wasn't even his name, which meant that he now had to settle for third choice. And third choice was pretty shit. He knew vaguely, having heard once or twice from Naruto or Sakura about an epic battle which had occurred during the Fourth Shinobi World War. It was one between Shino and his relative, who was Root. So he knows that in Root, there is an Aburame. He also knows that Shino had found out during this battle that his cousin had known a Yamanaka. So he knows that in Root, there's an Aburame and a Yamanaka. And that is, in essence, all he has to go off on. Unless he wants to reattempt following ninja. But he knows from last time's spectacular failure that would never work. He isn't good enough at hiding his presence. He'd be detected in an instant, even if he's gotten his speed up to scratch. He supposes he could pull the big guns and ask his parents, but that would draw way too much attention to him. Perhaps it'd be better just tagging along to Itachi? Surely his brother was a better option than finding an elusive Yamanaka/Aburame. But then again, it's his brother. At his full power, would he have beaten Itachi? He's not sure about things like this anymore. Itachi's genius is obvious, and it's a genius unparalleled. No. Tailing Itachi would be even worse. But recently, the Hokage has been much more accommodating to the Uchiha. According to the various reports he'd gone through after the massacre a lifetime ago, none of this had happened, but it's for the best, he supposes. After all, with Konoha reaching out a friendly hand, the Uchiha are bound by social conforms to follow with one. As to why these new changes were occurring, Sasuke had no idea. But then again, the ripple effect of his return must have somehow jolted things around. Hopefully though, with Konoha seeming a bit friendlier, issues can be resolved would be impossible but suppressed. Suppressed to a degree so that a massacre is unneeded. Yes, that would work. But as it is, he should see Ino, unfortunately. But surely, she'd be easier to wheedle information from than Shino. Even at 8 years old, that guy is creepy. Sakura, forehead girl. Ami calls. Sakura sighs, adjusting the ribbon over her forehead. It feels constricting, tight and scratchy. She's looking forward to the day she'll finally get her Hittite, new and clean, blood-free. That'll be the day. You can't hide your forehead with that ribbon, you know, no matter how hard you try. Sakura resists the urge to roll her eyes. Around them, adults jostle this way and that, looking at the produce displayed in Konoha markets. It's so big I can see it anyway. Nothing can hide it. Wow. These girls really aren't that creative in their insults. Even Sasuke can do better, and he has the emotional capacity of a rock. Oh Sasuke. Funnily enough, now when she thinks of him there's no bubble of hatred to go along. Her hate has subsided, mellowed, strangely. As much as his actions did change the world, she's had 8 years to mull over it, and she doesn't think she hates him as much now. After all, the Sasuke now is a cute and innocent one, and she's come back to change things. So future Sasuke will never, ever happen. It's as big as an elephant. Ami adds as an afterthought. Sakura sighs, placing a hand on her forehead, feeling her chakra reserves. Her strength of 100 seal has been growing quite substantially, which is good. Hopefully she'll be able to tap into some of it soon. But knowing what's to happen, she still has to save a large chunk for when Kabuto causes the armies to lose their chakra. But she's got years till that. Forehead girl. Ami calls again. Really? Please. She's saved Ami's little hide more times than she can count. Indirectly of course, but Team 7 has saved Konoha many times. But this girl is determined, Sakura give her that. After all, she's followed her into Konoha markets to lecture her. Sasuke-kun. She suddenly hears. Sakura turns around. Ino, when did she get here? Pushes her way through the crowd and latches onto Sasuke's arm. The boy is surprisingly mellow. Then again, his family hasn't been killed yet. Sasuke. Ami squeaks, abandoning her attack on Sakura to race to where Ino and Sasuke are. Sasuke glances in their direction, scowls, and quickly walks away. Ino scampers after him. Sakura sighs, turning away from them. She has other things to worry about. She looks down at her watch. Hinata's still not here yet. Maybe she's with Naruto. She'd heard that the shy girl had made friends somewhat with him, which is strange as it didn't happen last time around. But she supposes her influence has somehow caused this. Not that it was catastrophic in any way. In fact, it might be for the better, now that Naruto has someone. She's fine with it, as long as Hinata makes no effort to introduce her mutual friends. While she has made mental preparations in facing the younger versions of her two teammates, she's not sure if she's quite ready enough, especially in such unfamiliar territory. Sakura takes comfort in the known, and anything different from before in relation to the two most prominent people in her life is quite outside her comfort zone. Sakura has been maintaining her comfortable spot as the middle-ranked kunoichi. Both she and the Hyuga elders thought it to be the best in remaining inconspicuous. They had decided she'd be best as a hidden bodyguard, one only they knew about. Of course she had also pushed for that too in an effort to keep the past as predictable as possible. In fact, even Hinata doesn't know of her designation as her bodyguard, but they'd become firm friends anyway, except something had been stirring up lately. The original contract she had with the elders detailed that her role would end after 2 years. Sakura had agreed. After all, 2 years training could make a world of difference. Look at Naruto. But at the beginning of this year, the Hyuga had suddenly renewed her contract for another 2 and there had been murmurings of some trouble. Of course the Uchiha massacre is on its way. 3 months to the day, if Sakura remembers correctly. Sasuke is beginning to act a bit strange, but she can't blame him as the tensions that are no doubt running through his clan at the moment. That doesn't stop him from being comfortably top of the class though. She glances over at Sasuke. Him and Ino are talking, Ino much louder than he. They seem to have lost Ami in the crowd. My cousin! She hears Ino say. Sasuke smiles. Sakura rolls her eyes and turns away, instead thinking to her other teammate. Strangely, Naruto has been shooting up the rankings. She doesn't quite remember if this happened last time. She never paid much attention to him as a kid, but recently he's begun to get worse and worse. It looks as if he's heading towards dead last again, so maybe it had happened last time. Sakura-chan. Sakura swivels around. Hinata waves at her through the crowds, quickly zigzagging between the civilians before halting to a stop in front of her, face a healthy red. Am I late? No, Sakura fibs, I was just early. You wanna head back now? Sure, Hinata grins. This is the holiday schedule they planned. Now that school's over, they'll both meet in the afternoons to head back to her compound. Hinata will complete a training session with her father and her sister while Sakura reports to the elders. So, Sakura asks, linking her arms with the heiress. Who were you with just then? Naruto? Hinata blushes. No. Of course not. I was just at the park, collecting some flowers. Sakura's eyes flittered to her backpack. That's right. You like to press flowers, don't you? Yeah, Hinata smiles softly. They remind me of Oka-san. Sakura nods sympathetically. She supposes she's always been extremely lucky considering that both of her parents are still alive, were, in fact, even in her old life. Even through the war, she had managed to keep them safe. It was a fact, she knew, which tormented her two teammates, but she cared too much for her parents to let it bother her. How's Hanabi? Sakura asks, turning her mind away from her past life. She's very good, Hinata says happily. Even though she's only 2, father says she has great potential. That's nice, Sakura echoes. The two arrive at the gates. The 2 gatekeepers shoot Sakura a stern glare before letting them in. She doesn't think they've ever forgiven her for besting them. It must have been a blow to their egos. But they can't do anything to her now. She's under Hyuga elder protection. Sakura walks Hinata over to the family dojo. Hayashi gives her a nod and Hanabi looks up at her with wide eyes. How long? Sakura asks. An hour, Hayashi replies. Sakura nods and slides the dojo door shut before making her familiar way down the halls to the meeting room. Hinata thinks she's just waiting in the reception, but the meeting room is only a few turns away, close enough to rush back for pretenses in case of an emergency. She's just rounded the last corner when a figure steps forward, a Hyuga jounin. Wait here, she says, holding a hand up. The elders are busy. Sakura scoots to a stop in front of her. Biting her lip, she rocks on her feet and peeks around the jounin's waist. The meeting room door is closed, it's in use, and she can sense many people inside. There's no soundproofing jutsu, but she supposes that someone inside has their Byakugan switched on, watching for any suspicious activity. Curiouser and curiouser. What could they be discussing? Did this have anything to do with why they renewed protection for Hinata for another 2 years? Sakura bites her lip and ponders a risky move. She's always been adept at chakra control jutsu, which means that if she tried she might be able to listen to what they were saying. But she's in a compound full of Byakugan users. She'd need a complex web of jutsu. Would it be worth it, this close to the massacre? Yes. Sakura takes a deep breath and begins the first layer. She keeps her breathing steady, trying to appear unfazed to the jounin in front of her. Luckily, she doesn't have her Byakugan switched on. But Sakura has no doubt someone, maybe all, have it on in the meeting room. She weaves a layer of chakra over herself, imitating her normal flow of chakra. It's a technique much more complicated than a normal chakra suppression and one which requires much more control. It simulated a normal person, rather than making one disappear. Sakura lets out a shaky breath. Now that her cloak is established, she needs to keep her hold on it as she directs chakra to her ears. That's 2 missions she needs to concentrate on at once. This will be a true test of whether or not she's built her skills up to the level they once were. Cautiously, Sakura sends chakra to her ears and listens. This is serious news, Urumi. I'm not saying it isn't. I'm just saying, are we sure? Yes. We are very sure. Our Uchiha informant is adamant. This is happening, but it's just absurd. I mean, everyone knows that the Uchiha are planning a rebellion. Everyone knows about the hate, but you're saying that not only has the hate gotten stronger, the Uchiha are now pretending that nothing's wrong? I thought the whole premise of their rebellion was to act rebellious so that the Hokage knows they're unhappy with the way things are. Why are they suddenly hiding? Unless the Hokage has been threatening action. Even if the Hokage was threatening action, the Uchiha wouldn't know about it. So how do they know? But we're not even sure if the Hokage is still threatening action. Relationships are becoming much more amicable. On the surface, at least. The Hokage is getting soft. He's becoming careless, thinking that the Uchiha have no power, while the whole lot of them are growing more and more hateful and rebellious. They've just gotten better at hiding it. Like I've said many times already. So, what are we going to do about it? Here are evacuation plans in case war does break out. Hinata-sama and Hanabi-sama are first priority. Branch will need to escort them, and Sakura will be there in case they act out. Good foresight there, Ju. Her renewed contract did come in handy. Hayashi. The wave of shock fractures her jutsu and Sakura barely stops herself from stumbling back. This is absurd, she whispers frantically. The jounin shoots her a look. My leg keeps on cramping, Sakura adds quickly, but her mind is whirling. The Uchiha have somehow tricked the Hokage into thinking that nothing is wrong? They've become mellow and quiet? That must mean they're planning something. But the Hokage can't do nothing. Why are both sides this time around so different? Has her appearance changed that many things? Then she has to fix it. The massacre must go ahead. It stops the civil war for bloody sake. The Uchiha are planning a rebellion, and the Hokage is getting tricked by their facade. No, maybe the Hyuga have gotten things wrong. She'll have to investigate on her own. She can't act impulsively. Look how far that ended up getting Sasuke. But they seem confident it's going to happen. They have bloody evacuation plans already. Sakura steadies herself, chewing her lip in thought. She has to be very careful, especially in times as tender as these. Finally, the door to the meeting room opens. 9 other elders file out, and the Hyuga Jounin leaves with them. Finally, Hoshiko pokes his head out. Sakura, he says quietly, come on in. Sakura is worried. Sakura is extremely fucking worried. Under her tree, the Uchiha guards chat casually outside their compound, masking the stifling tension soaked in the air. Around her, civilians walk past, up and down the street, doing their usual business. The sun shines bright. The birds continue to fly, but Sakura is extremely fucking worried. On the surface everything seems nice and dandy. The Hokage and the Uchiha seem to be buddies, cooperating on the upcoming Konoha Spring Festival. The Spring Festival which is to take place after the original date of the massacre. It all seems fine, except she's worried. The Hyuga predict civil war. And the Hyuga are rarely wrong. Sakura takes another deep breath and adjusts her clothing. Black is not a big part of her 8-year-old wardrobe, so she'd ended up borrowing some of Hinata's clothes. It's probably for the better though, now that she thinks about it, because only the best is made for the clan heiress. The ones she has on now are primed for camouflage and maximize flexibility and speed. Plus, at 8, her and Hinata have much more similar bodies. But really, all that matters is inconspicuousness. Because Sakura plans on taking a big risk today. Sakura is planning on eavesdropping on an Uchiha meeting. A few nights ago she'd managed to secure a talk with the Hyuga's informant within the Uchiha. The Hyuga hadn't asked many questions, luckily, as even Arumi seemed to have warmed up to her, so she managed to sweeten them enough for them to promise not to pry, and that's all she really needed. The informant had been an Uchiha girl born out of wedlock. She'd carried enough scorn of her own for her clan to match even Niji. It was a prime catch for the Hyuga. In fact, Arumi had estimated that she'd probably even surpass the Hokage's informant. Not that she does, Sakura knows, considering the Hokage's informant is the clan heir. But of course, she didn't say anything about that, only graciously thanked them before meeting with the informant. Of course, the girl wasn't very compliant with someone who wasn't paying her, and it wasn't like the Hyuga were willing to pitch in money for some 8-year-old civvy Hinata picked up, even if she was becoming extremely proficient. So Sakura had to resort to some of her old knowledge, her root knowledge. It hadn't been a pleasant experience for the informant, but Sakura had genjutsu'd her at the end to save her the trauma. It wasn't something she'd ever really want anybody to feel and remember, except maybe some people, but that was beside the point. She had managed to secure information she doubted that even Sasuke knew, about the date of the next major gathering of the Uchiha elders. What the meeting was to be about, the informant didn't know understandably, but Sakura knows that she has the skills to sneak in, so it doesn't matter either way. Sakura hopes it isn't civil war, but with the Uchiha, you never know. No matter how amicable relationships seem on the surface, the Uchiha can always backstab you. Viciously. Prime example, Sasuke. But that's a whole other issue. Beneath her, the guards retreat back into the compound. It's time for the changing of the guard and will be the perfect time for her to sneak in. As soon as the two are reasonably far away, Sakura henges her features, plain brown hair and brown eyes, and drops down. She walks in naturally. The Uchiha are on high alert for intruders, not 8-year-old girls who accidentally wander into their compound. There aren't many people around either, she notices, which is a bonus. The 2 new guards walk towards her, but she keeps her henge up confidently. In fact, being inconspicuous in the Uchiha compound is a lot easier than it is in the Hyuga compound. After all, no one walks around with a switched-on Sharingan for fun, and the Uchiha are nowhere near as sensitive to chakra as the Hyuga. Hey! A guard calls out from a distance. What are you doing? I'm going to see Sasuke-kun. She calls back in her best baby voice. We have to do a holiday assignment today for class, except Sasuke's not at the compound. But the new guards don't know it, because they haven't been on guard. Sakura's excuse isn't perfect, but she'll only need it to get past the guards anyway. The guard shrugs and continues towards the gate. He doesn't seem to care much about her, but then again, to them she's only an 8-year-old city girl. So what really can she do? A lot, but they don't know that. Continuing her path, Sakura ducks off the path and towards the side wall of the main compound. According to the floor plan of the compound she had managed to reap off the Hyuga, she should be right around the corner from the side entrance. Sakura takes a deep breath and racks her memory again. That means she needs to take 2 steps to the right, and she'll be under the window of the dining room. After that, she'll need to get inside and proceed to the meeting room. That way she won't have to explain what she's doing on the opposite side of the house to Sasuke's room. But first she needs to scout. Not many people seem home. She stretches out her chakra but only comes into contact with 4 presences. Itachi isn't home, and neither is Sasuke, but she'd known that. There are 3 in one room, the meeting room, and a 4th upstairs. Mikoto? Feels like it, but she can't be sure. She isn't familiar enough with her chakra signature to be sure. But that doesn't matter. What does is that she's too far away to be a real issue. In fact, she probably won't even need to pull out the big guns yet. Sakura sneaks over and gradually begins to muffle her chakra. It's not a fast enough change to trip a signal in any surrounding ninja's brain, and it won't draw attention to her unless people are looking. And they won't be, because no one in this time has the chakra control to perfect that technique. Plus, it helps that she's constantly supplying chakra to her seal, which means her chakra signature was pretty diminutive anyway. It's nothing the Uchiha should notice. Finally, she has it muffled and Sakura is pretty much invisible on the chakra scale. It's only the physical side she needs to be worried about now, but the main compound seems pretty deserted anyway. Shallowing her breathing to quieten the sound, Sakura slips across the wall and up through the window, into the dining room. Sakura lands as quietly as she can, taking in her surroundings. And the first thing she notices is that the room itself is exactly the same as when she last saw it a lifetime ago, surprisingly. It seems even Sasuke was too attached to change the interior decoration. But that's not why she's here. Creeping silently, Sakura slips out into the hallway and dashes across till she's right outside the meeting room. She pauses, reaching out again and feeling for Mikoto's signature, making sure the woman is too far away to be a threat. And she is. Good. Sakura takes a small, steadying breath, calming her heart rate. She can't freak. Not now. Taking a deep breath and making sure to place a layer of muffling chakra over herself, Sakura spikes chakra to her ears. This is perfect. Don't be too confident, Eru. Hubris may be the death of the Uchiha. Wise words to Beta. But Eru is right in the fact that this new level of cooperation has begun to create an atmosphere of complacency. So you still believe we should go forward with the rebellion, Mako? We must. Too much lies at stake. Konoha has stampeded over us for too long. We must not allow them to continue. And Fugaka shares my views. I know it. Think of all the possibilities. Our informants within the Hyuga are ready for my orders. We could have the Byakugan. The main family is weak. Both of their children are young and vulnerable. They will not stand a chance. This is our opportunity to secure the Byakugan. Yes. That will go far in furthering the Sharingan. Talks are that the stage after is the Rinnegan. Then the Uchiha would fully crush the Senju. Yes, Eru, as they should be crushed. They are not treating us Uchiha right. Look at it all. Our compound is isolated and we have our own police system which does not do anything. We should not allow this to continue. Even the civilians think they are better than us. And maybe in the Hokage's eyes they are. The curse of hatred is strong within you, Mako, and you, Eru. Our whole clan is infected. No, Tabita. It is not a curse of hatred. It is reality. You must see that. Exactly. I must. But it doesn't matter. The plan will go on. Konoha will be crushed. And all the more, because they are unprepared. Did you hear of all the stories of hate perpetrated by a child? Yes. A child never lies. A child lies. No. A child tells the honest truth. They tell of things as they hear them. The village is growing more and more hostile, Tabita, and it's time we fight back. A new chakra signature jolts Sakura out of her reverie. Sasuke. Outside the front gate. She needs to get out, but her mind is whirling. This can't be true, not in this moment of peace. The Uchiha can't, they mustn't, but they are. And Hinata. She must go, but when? We can preemptive, exactly a month from now, November 16th. Sabotage the administration's building, burn the files, the mission records and reports, the mission requests. That will send the Hokage Tower and all the ninja into chaos. And then, 3 days later we attack. Sakura's heart hammers in her chest, so loud that she's scared it'll give her position away. But this new information has taken her breath away, she can hardly breathe. What if it doesn't work? Then we regroup. Reevaluate. But it'll provide enough distraction for us to attack. And the Hyuga are prepared, which means we should keep a careful eye on them too. But we can discuss this further when Fugaku returns from his mission. After all, he is the most invested in the Byakugan. Of course, it's too close. Sasuke's too close. He'll find her, and she needs to leave. But she needs to stop this. All of this civil war, this carnage. It must not happen. Which means, the massacre must happen. But first, Sakura tears out of the Uchiha compound at lightning fast speed. A signature Naruto technique, actually. It uses up quite a bit of chakra, but she's in no battle. There's no need to conserve her chakra. Sakura quickly hanges her features again, just in case. Blonde hair, blue eyes. She knows Danza is meticulous enough to try to trace her message. Her message. One which will seal the fate of her best friend. Her ex-best friend. No. She can't think like this. Not now. Sakura slows her run down to a speed visible to civilians. She has to calm herself, figure out a way to stop Danza from discovering that she sent a message, but to also let him trust her message. Sakura smiles sardonically. Who would have thought her analysis of root business would ever be so useful? Except it isn't useful, is it? Because she's destroying Sasuke. No, Sasuke will. Konoha will live. Plus, she's just a civilian kid so no one will suspect her. Sakura slows to a stop just outside Konoha Markets, ducking off the path and into the surrounding bushes. Then, taking a deep breath, she throws herself against a tree. Fantastic, she mutters. Scrambling back up, she throws herself against the tree again. The end result is a myriad of cuts along her arms, as well as some bloody knees. A success in the hole? Sakura stops the automatic flow of healing chakra which flows to the area, instead summoning the obligatory tears as she waddles through Konoha markets towards the hospital, civilian paced. The hospital itself is quite busy, flu season is fast approaching and she knows firsthand how flustered the medics are during that time. But that's a plus for her, they'll be too distracted to really pay attention to her. She limps into the reception, and weaves through the bustling doctors and patients. Standing on her tippy toes, Sakura peers over the counter with teary eyes. Can I have a band-aid? She blubbers. The receptionist sighs, looking down at her scrapes and cuts. Sakura knows that look, it's the "we're so busy really?" look, but he acquiesces and swivels around on his chair, reaching down for the drawer of band-aids. Sakura takes his distraction to nab a pen and paper, shoving it into her pockets. Here you go, the receptionist says, swiveling around on his chair before handing her a packet of band-aids. Thank you, Sakura says, grinning widely. She takes the packet of band-aids and hurries to a small secluded corner. Then, quickly making sure her back is turned on the public, she grabs a few band-aids, plastering them on quickly. She takes the remaining time to scribble quickly on the paper. November 16th. Uchiha attack. Administration building. Then she folds it in half, quickly drawing a moon on the outside, writing next to it 18/5/4/4/1/14. She'll drop it off at root base, and the fact that she knows the location plus the codes on the front will verify the validity of the note. The moon signifies a night operator, or, in other words, a spy of the highest degree. The numbers correspond to the letters red and respectively, standing for code red and Danzu. The root operative will recognize the emergency, and know that the note must go immediately straight to Danzu. Turns out all that time en route turned out to be useful after all. She brings the remaining band-aids back to the receptionist, giving him a big toothy smile. Thanks, she says, much brighter than she feels as she slips the pen back onto the counter. Once Danzu realizes that none of his operatives sent the note, he'll probably try to trace it. The ink will match up to this pen, but the fact that so many people have used it covers up her fingerprints accurately. En route operatives only report once a fortnight, and all are scheduled to come in at varied times, so hopefully Danzu will remain blissfully oblivious until after November 16th. But for the moment, she has to sabotage the Uchiha rebellion. Sakura walks outside again, civilian paced. Casually, she slips into the neighboring dango shop, one of Uchiha Itachi's favorite destinations, actually. Sakura folds her written note inside a $5 note. 2 dango please, she says to the cashier. Take away. Of course, the undercover root operative says friendlily. 2 dango, coming right up. Sakura waits, biting her lip as she surveys the rest of the shop. It's got a few customers here and there, but overall it's a quiet afternoon. Here you go, the cashier says, handing her dango. Thanks, Sakura says brightly, grabbing some coins from her pocket to pay before stuffing the $5 note in the jar with the other tips. The dango shop's opening hours are ending soon, which means the operatives will be emptying the tip jar. If procedure is still the same, around an hour later they take it to the back and sift through all the tips, looking for notes from spies. They would then slip through the basement of the dango shop, through a series of underground passages and into root headquarters. If all went well, the note would hopefully get to Danzu before the end of tonight, giving Konoha ample time to prepare for the Uchiha attack. Job completed, Sakura can finally convince her heart rate to slow. She walks out of the dango shop and checks the perimeter before quickly undoing her hinge. Her work is done. The Uchiha will be stopped. Sasuke detects a flicker of chakra. He whirls around but it's nothing. All he sees is Sakura outside the dango shop. Fantastic. He turns back around and concentrates intensely, but the headquarters of ANBU root continues to elude him. It has eluded him for 8 bloody years. Recently, he'd isolated the member of the Yamanaka Fu, but the guy turned out to be a legendary censor Nin, so any chance of tailing him flew out the window. That long month with Ino, for nothing. Except he had heard that for a time, Danza had gone around the clans recruiting members. But just as luck would have it, the Uchiha were never obligated to obey as they were already playing their part in the protection of the village through the military police force. So it was just his luck really. After all that, Sasuke is still grasping at straws. He'd also spend hours thinking back to his meetings with Sakura, trying to divulge any information she might have slipped through, or places he'd seen her. But after root business, Sakura had always insisted on meeting at the dango shop, which was absolutely useless as it was right in the middle of Konoha and gave him no clue as to where the headquarters were hidden. However much he hates the man, he has to admit that Danza knows how to do his job and do it well. Great. And on top of that, the Hokage had been doing some bizarre things he had definitely not done last time around, like putting the Uchiha in charge of the annual Konoha Spring Festival. What? Even the Uchiha are in no way equipped to deal with such a huge responsibility, but the amount of trust placed on the Uchiha has made some Uchiha beginning to soften up to the Hokage. Sasuke has not spent this much time brewing hate within the Uchiha for it to be dissipated by some ripple action he himself caused. No, Konoha is going down, and it won't work if the Uchiha are on its side. The Uchiha must be on his side, the destruction side. Even if he has to somehow genjutsu Itachi through the whole process. And speaking of Itachi, his brother had been increasingly absent from clan meetings. So absent that with his progress, his father had even considered bringing him along. And it sucks because Sasuke knows that Itachi is doing Hokage stuff. His brother, in all his self-sacrificial glory, is aiding the person who will one day kill him. Indirectly or whatever, it's the same. Konoha will kill him, will kill the Uchiha, and have killed Team 7. Disgusting. Sasuke resists the urge to spit. Never tarnish the Uchiha name, his father says, but he does stomp all the way to his compound gates. He is not in a particularly good mood, and even the Uchiha gate guards shrink back slightly as they let the fuming youngster into the compound. Even at a mere 8 years old, Uchiha Sasuke seems to still be able to project his scary ANBU commander glare from the future. Sasuke makes his way to the dining room, his new favorite place in the house. Firstly, it's right next to the meeting room, convenient for any eavesdropping expeditions. Secondly, it has food, and Sasuke has learned from years on the run that food should not be taken for granted. Thirdly, it's where Itachi likes to spend his time the few hours he is at home, probably for the same 2 prior reasons. But today, Itachi isn't here. Not that Sasuke expected any different. It's a month before the massacre now, and even though the Spring Festival has temporarily slowed the escalation to civil war, tensions are still running high. Knowing Danza the old bat though he's probably already planning the massacre, Sasuke suppresses an instinctive gag reflex. He desensitized himself from the event in his past life with the help of Sakura, but now that he's spent 8 years surrounded by that nostalgic Kakuna family, the loss suddenly seems much more prominent and eminent than it ever did before. But it will not be a loss. He will prevent it. This wasn't a move he had previously planned, and maybe it was fueled by his terrible mood, but Sasuke will not let the massacre go through, not if he in his 8-year-old glory can help it. He thinks back to a conversation he had with Sakura. She'd finally started adjusting to life en route, and had told him how apparently it was a tradition of the Konoha council members to visit the communal baths at the end of each month. It wasn't done for any sake of real want, rather, it was because the council wanted to keep up their appearances for the civilians, and the lower-level ninja who weren't as informed or involved in Konoha politics. That way they made themselves appear connected to the community. That was also the conversation where she had confided that amidst all the torture, and the darkness, and the killing, she knew that everybody there was capable of being defeated. They were capable of being defeated because they showed character. And character means that one is human, and if one is human, one is not invincible. But that was a train of thought he liked to apply to others, and not to himself. He's not sure exactly when this monthly tradition occurs, but he's sure that it must have been over, for the new month has just started. Which means that this plan might actually work. Sasuke pauses and feels for the room next door. Only 3 chakra signatures. The 3 elders maybe? Or his parents and Elder Mako? Sakura would be useful right now, but he has to manage by himself. Alone, this time around. Shaking his head quickly, Sasuke thinks back to the cellars of Orochimaru and plasters on his most traumatized face. And then he knocks on the door, lip trembling. A few moments later it swings open and Elder Mako looks down. His eyes soften almost imperceptibly and Sasuke feels another tug at his heart at the possibility that in one moment, his whole family may be gone. Again. Hello Sasuke, Elder Mako greets. Hi Sasuke says, slightly teary. Am I interrupting something? Elder Mako smiles wanly. No. We were just finishing up. Why don't you come in? Sasuke manages a small smile, still keeping up with his traumatized facade. Elder Tabita looks up as he enters. Sasuke child, she says gravely, are you alright? You look frighteningly pale. Sasuke shrugs. I just heard something at the baths, that's all. It's just got me a bit worried. There was this guy with a bandage over his eye. Immediately the 3 elders snap to attention. Continue, Mako says constrainedly, and he talked of something to do with the Uchiha and November 26th. That was the day the massacre had occurred last time around. But he said he wasn't sure, sometime around there. And he mentioned, Sasuke pauses. This is a dangerous move, but it is necessary. His clan must be prepared, even if it means sacrificing. He also mentioned Ena-Nisan. Elder Tabita takes a deep, shuddering breath. Eru an eyebrow. Mako simply eyes him steadily. I see, Elder Mako says slowly, his eyes guarded. He turns his back on Sasuke and waves his hand. Leave us, he says briskly. Sasuke bows his head respectfully and retreats. No doubt the elders are on high alert with this new information, but Sasuke risks a quick eavesdrop. This corroborates with the intel we have already, he hears Elder Era say. Something must be done. Sasuke smiles. Yes. Something must be done, but he needs to leave before the elders come out. Job finished, Sasuke quickly shunsons back out to Konoha markets, because he still needs to find bloody fucking root. Sighing, Sasuke stands and watches. Naruto's holidays are proving frightfully uneventful. All the other kids in his class have been having play dates, or whatnot, or, in the clan kid's case, training sessions together. But the most he's had is a few training sessions here and there with Hinata. And even he can tell that even she doesn't have the time to hang out with him, especially with all her extra heiress duties and the unwillingness of the Hyuga to see their heiress hanging out with the likes of him. A few times though, he's caught Sasuke and Sakura looking at him, but that's probably because this time around he's much more in tune to them both, and everything they do, every little action they make, he's overanalyzing and nitpicking. He's always thinking that his two teammates are up to something or another, but really, they're just kids. All this free time has gotten to his head, but the bountiful amounts of time he's had on his hands has also allowed him to find a second home at the Hokage Tower. He spends most of his days there with the Hokage, trying to familiarize himself with Konoha's dealing in this time. Unfortunately, Konoha's political history hadn't been a course he'd paid too much attention in during his Hokage training. He's always preferred making new bonds and creating new history. Of course, the Hokage doesn't mind him looking around. After all, sensitive files are well out of his reach and there's nothing in there lying around that's dangerous. After all, if the cleaner can pick them up and read them, they're safe for Naruto to read too. But on a few occasions, matters too sensitive for his ears had come up and he'd been expelled from the office. This is now proving to be one of those times. Naruto, Sarutobi says gravely. Go now. Naruto reaches over to sort the file back in the drawer but the Hokage raises a hand. Go now, he repeats. Now. Okay, Naruto shrugs, tucking the folder under his arm and waddling back outside. The person outside the window looked ANBU, but root or not, he wasn't sure. He suspects it might have something to do with the Uchiha massacre. After all, the date is drawing nearer and nearer, but he won't risk eavesdropping. Not when two such strong shinobi are evidently on high alert. Sasuke might have been able to pull it off, Sakura definitely, but with his level of chakra control and unstable reserves, who knew what would happen? He should just be grateful Danzo isn't on his case. The last time he saw him the old man had been suspicious to say the least. Even though Naruto had tried his hardest to seem natural he knew that he had failed spectacularly. Danzo knew he didn't like him, and he also knew that Naruto had been making suggestions to the Hokage, suggestions the Hokage accepted. But lately the elder seems preoccupied by something else. The massacre? But that isn't to occur until November 26th. And it's only the beginning of November anyway. But then again, an event like this must have been weeks, months, even years in planning. Naruto sighs. If only he had decided to sort through the massacre records himself rather than delegating it to Sasuke and Sakura. He'd have a much better understanding, but this will have to do. Naruto steels himself and clutches the folder tightly to his chest. The matter must be urgent for the Hokage to usher him out of the office with the files still in his hand. Naruto looks back at the door forlornly. Could he? No. Thus resigned to not knowing what was happening behind the closed doors, Naruto makes his way down the stairs of the Hokage Tower and outside into the bustling Konoha markets. Immediately a burst of cold air hits him. Even though it is only the beginning of November the air is already on its way to the winter climate. But he supposes it isn't too bad. After all, he's been stuck in prison cells in Kirigakure during winter, and it is cold there. Their torture system wasn't nearly as advanced as places like Iwagakure, but the cold itself was torture enough. In comparison, Konoha is like a playground. Yeah, he should be fine. Or not. Naruto squints at Sasuke who's standing right in the middle of Konoha markets, looking extremely thoughtful. Maybe he's lost, but that's none of his business. And Naruto certainly doesn't want to spend more time in the cold air than necessary. After all, he's spent many years enduring harsh conditions, so why not make the most of the resources around him? Naruto weaves through the crowd and bursts into the civilian library, moaning in delight as the warm heating envelopes his body. Across from him, the librarian shoots him a glare. Shoo! He hisses. Sorry. Naruto whispers back. He tiptoes his way across the library and towards the plush seating near the back. The chairs in the library were always soft and fluffy, and they'd been his favorite place to relax as a. Naruto pauses. Then, he peers around a stack of books. Itachi? The Uchiha heir looks up from his book, Konoha, its history, and Sunigakure. Naruto, he says, surprised. Hi, Naruto says blankly. His previous conversations with the heir have been along the lines of don't kill Sasuke, don't kill me. Save Sasuke, he's not quite sure what to say to him, now that they're finally in an amicable context. Not to mention, the cold-blooded killer is 13. Hello, Itachi says softly. Wait, Naruto says. How do you know my name? Itachi quirks an eyebrow. How did you know mine? You're Sasuke's brother, Naruto says heavily. Those 3 words will be words which will dominate the experience of most of his later life. Really, it is the 2 brothers and everything connected to them which spirals Naruto into the person he is now. Yes, Itachi says. And you're his classmate. I'm also the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. Yes, Naruto says instead. His eyes shoot down to his book. You like history? Itachi smiles. Well, as close to a smile as an Uchiha can get. But Naruto's had lots of practice recognizing Sasuke's. I love it, he says simply, and then Naruto pauses, suddenly remembering the file he had been reading when the Hokage had sent him out of the tower. Previously, he had thought it'd be impossible to send Itachi on a mission unless it was ordered by the Hokage himself. Or Itachi requested it. Of course, the Hokage had to approve it, but this is a tangible possibility. Naruto feels his heartbeat speeding up in anticipation and quickly takes a deep breath, trying to calm it. Uchiha Itachi has always been extremely sensitive, and it won't do to alert him to anything suspicious now. That's amazing, Naruto settles on saying. I love history too. Lies. In fact, I was at the Hokage's office just then before Aji-san kicked me out, and I found this mission which would be incredible. But it requires a genin rank. Oh? Itachi asks, what is it? Naruto whips out the file and opens it. It's an archaeological recovery mission, some ruins on the border near Sunagakure. They think they might have found a gravesite of our early ancestors. It's only C rank though, but it goes for 2 weeks. Itachi frowns at the timing. Evidently it isn't great considering how high tensions are running in his tenuous position. It would be good to relax, Naruto says quickly. I mean, you look tired. But I guess the best judge of that would be the Hokage, right? It wouldn't be good to limit your chances before you try them out. Why don't you ask him? There's no harm in that. Itachi frowns contemplatively. I might. You should. Naruto says enthusiastically, remembering just barely to curb his enthusiasm so that it's not too overbearing. The Itachi right now is volatile, and everything and anything could dissuade him. Here's the file, Naruto says resolutely. Take it. Asks the Hokage. Itachi stares at the yellow file in Naruto's hands. Finally, he puts down his book. Maybe some rest will be good, he says. He grasps the yellow folder, nods at the younger boy, and heads outside. Naruto resists the urge to cheer. He's set the plan in motion, all he needs now is for it to succeed, but the chances of the Hokage approving it are small. After all, Itachi's a key informant within the Uchiha clan, but hopefully Itachi's plea will sway the Hokage. After all, his Aji-san has always had a soft spot for children, and maybe for once pure empathy will win out. Mentally, Naruto counts to 60 before casually walking out of the library. He's not going to leave things like that. He has to find out what happens. This is a once-in-2 lifetimes chance, and he needs to know how things will turn out. Quickly suppressing his chakra to the best of his ability, Naruto runs towards the Hokage's tower. He stops right outside. Itachi is making his way inside, civilian-paced. But he seems calm, and hopefully the easy atmosphere will deter him from trying to sense anything unusual. Naruto's not sure how long he can remain inconspicuous if that happens. After all, Itachi is one of the best. Mentally counting another 30, Naruto walks into the Hokage's tower, and makes his way up the stairs, his footsteps quiet. Faintly, he hears a few knocks on the door. A few seconds later, he hears the door swing shut. Cautiously, Naruto peers up. No one has left the office, which means the stairs are clear. Muffling his footsteps, Naruto quickly shuffles up and places his ear against the wall. The C rank? Sarutobi says, surprised. It is to my liking, Itachi says quietly. And then suddenly, what did you say the dates were? Naruto freezes, that's Danzu. He would never let Itachi leave. His plan is doomed. November 5th to November 19th. I see, Danza says quietly. I'm not sure Sarutobi begins, but Danza cuts in. Go, he says. Hokage-sama, I recommend him go. I have matters to discuss with you, remember? They are important matters. Itachi will go. There are a few beats of silence. Very well, Sarutobi says. Naruto suppresses an inner cheer. But it's evident that the meeting's nearly over, so he should get away before they see him. He makes his escape quickly and quietly, but inside, he's bursting with joy. His plan has worked. Itachi will be away until the 19th. Shursui is still alive, which means that this time he can push back Itachi's Manjikyu, maybe even prevent it entirely. And last time the massacre occurred on the 26th, so this time, if he follows Itachi, delays his trip home, he might be lucky enough to avoid the massacre in its entirety. 1 week is a long time to delay someone, but he's seen it happen. We'll make it happen. The Uchiha will live. The Uchiha Massacre 3. Naruto. For me? Really? Hinata flushes, bowing her head. Next to her, Sakura smiles softly, eyes downcast. Naruto resists the urge to fidget, and keeps his eyes trained on the Hyuga heiress. With Sakura so close, he has to keep a tenuous hold on his emotions. He can't break this close to the massacre, especially when Iruka-sensei is still watching the remaining 3 students with careful eyes. Ever since the end of the holidays, parents have been quick in picking up their kids. He hadn't noticed it last time. He was much too oblivious back then, but now the tension within Konoha is evident. Parents are twitchy, and the academy has a few extra jounins wandering around casually. Similarly, there's been an increased ninja presence in public places like Konoha markets, the Hokage Tower, and especially the administration's building. In fact, he even saw Anbu stationed there, which was strange as the administration's building was a civilian service mainly. But who knew? I made it yesterday from some herbs I connected, Hinata says, snapping him back to reality. It should work for pretty much everything. It's like an all-rounder really. No matter if it's a bruise or a cut, it should be able to help. Wow, Hinata! That's fantastic. Naruto grins, taking the salve gently. It looks and smells just like the one she made a lifetime ago. Thank you, he repeats sincerely. No problem, Hinata says. But Sakura-chan helped me a lot. Ma Hinata, Sakura scolds, waving her hand in the air. Don't lie, you made it yourself. Naruto's smile falters for a second before reappearing full force. Thanks anyway. He smiles brightly, fingers tightening their hold on the ointment. No problem, Sakura says, averting her eyes. Come on, Hinata. Let's go. Your father's waiting for you. Oh no! Hinata gasps. I completely forgot. Come on now, Sakura says, rolling her eyes. Let's go. She grasps the other girl's hand and pulls her away, out the academy doors and towards the Hyuga Chunin waiting outside. Bye, Naruto whispers, but the two girls are already gone. He swallows harshly. See you later, he amends. He turns around to grab his bag, getting ready for the journey ahead. Naruto. Iruka-sensei, he stumbles, turning around. Naruto, Iruka repeats softly, pulling up a chair in front of him. You've been doing a really good job lately. Wow, thanks Iruka-sensei, Naruto says awkwardly. You've improved a lot lately, but I've noticed that you are not. Iruka rubs the back of his sheepishly, trying to find the right words to say. Doing as well? Naruto sighs. Yeah. I know. Hey, Iruka says determinedly, leaning forward to look him in the eye. I used to think that you would never be Hokage like you wanted, but you've worked hard, mate. You've done good. You've improved a lot, and I really believe you can stop yourself from slipping back to dead last. In fact, I could probably help. Nah, Naruto says quickly. Really? I'm fine. You don't need to worry. Please don't worry. Iruka leans back. You don't have to be scared of asking for help, Naruto. Yeah? I know. Naruto swallows, looking away from Iruka. He was one of the few who survived the war. Naruto made sure of that. But it's strange talking to him now, at such a young age. Iruka had never taken a notice of him before, probably because he did seem like a failure, always being dead last and never improving. This time around, now that he's proved he's actually worth something, Iruka is being much more friendly. But really though, I don't need any help. He can have help, otherwise Team 7 won't happen and it needs to. Alright then, Iruka sighs. Go on now. See ya, sensei, Naruto says sheepishly, swinging his bag around his shoulder. Goodbye, Naruto, Iruka says with a sigh. Steeling himself, Naruto walks out without a glance back. He needs to stop himself from getting too emotionally attached. This is a new world and these people are not the people he knew and loved a lifetime ago. They don't have the same experiences. They aren't tainted by the deaths of a large portion of their community. Naruto skids to a stop outside the academy. Sure sway? Said Uchiha snaps to attention, not from surprise, Naruto knows. He's too good for that. But from shock that the young boy knows his name. That is Naruto stammers, unsure of how to cover up his fault. You must be Sasuke's friend, Shursui says bemusedly. Yes. Naruto says quickly. No. What are you doing here? Oh, Shursui says, I'm here to speak to Iruka-senpai. About Sasuke? Shursui continues to smile, unfazed. Only Naruto's trained eyes can pick up the slight twitch of his lips which signal an Uchiha's surprise. What are you still doing here? Shursui opts to ask instead. Class finished a while ago. Naruto pauses. Is Uchiha Shursui friend or foe? He knows, everyone knows, that he is immensely devoted to the Uchiha clan. But he's even more dedicated to the village. Itachi had said to him a lifetime ago that above all else, Shursui wanted someone to inherit his will and ideals. And he had believed that that person was Naruto. I'm worried about Sasuke, Naruto says, and it's perhaps the most truthful thing he said his whole life. Shursui smiles sadly. Yeah. Me too. Me too. For a moment, Naruto feels as if he's transcended time and space, and there's only him and Shursui, here, united by their common goal of Konoha for the good and Sasuke and Itachi. Well then, Shursui says quietly, breaking the silence, I'll be going then. Okay, Naruto replies softly. Stay safe. Shursui smiles sadly. I'll try. And then he's gone. Naruto stares at the space the older Uchiha once stood before letting out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. Uchiha Shursui is real, and alive. But he won't be soon if he doesn't do anything. Naruto slings his backpack over his shoulder. While it's got everything he needs for the academy in it, books, stationery, it also has everything he'll need for the trip. Soldier pills, hair dye for backup, some protein bars and a few bottles of water. He's foregone a map this time. He's traipsed around the countries enough, either with Jiraiya or as Hokage, to know the lands like the back of his hand. At least, that was what he told people a lifetime ago. Truthfully, it was the war which made everyone familiarize themselves with the harsh country. But he doesn't like to think that way. Squaring his shoulders back, Naruto readies himself. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, he whispers softly. A second clone appears opposite him, smiling encouragingly. Good luck. His clone says with a hopeful grin. Thanks, Naruto smiles sheepishly. He pulls out his academy resources from his bag and hands it to his clone. Hope you do shit in class, he grins. Hope you save some lives, his clone shoots back. Naruto smiles. I always do, and then he shunshins away. Itachi's mission is on the border of Sunagakure and Konohagakure, so it's not a long run, especially for someone as trained as the Hokage. An 8-year-old version, at least. In fact, now that he thinks back, Ebisu as a teacher might have been a blessing disguised as a curse. He was never a practical teacher, which meant Naruto was never asked to display his skills, thus eliminating the risk of being suspicious completely. He focused on a whole new area that Naruto had never considered before, and thus broadened his knowledge in a way he himself would have never done. Plus, he knew how to train himself physically anyway. Jiraiya racked that into him, if nothing else. According to plans, he should arrive by the morning of the 16th, a solid night of running. The ruins themselves are in between sand and fire, in a town called Asuzuka. The 15 hours required to get there are probably one of the reasons why the Hokage accepted the mission. If an emergency was to occur, Itachi could be called for and back by the next day. He was just as good, probably even better, than any ANBU the Hokage could have sent to fetch him. In fact, he had taken careful consideration of Itachi's skills, a feat only achieved through the patience, diligence and strategizing that Ebisu had taught him. He knows that Itachi is good, there's no doubt about that. After all, he's ANBU captain at only 13. But there's a fact which all of Konoha, sans Sasuke, seems to have forgotten. He's only 13. Uchiha Itachi is only a boy. He is immature. While he's a genius, smart to the beyond, he is 13. And those who acknowledge that fact do not understand it. They think that he can handle anything, that he has shown maturity beyond his years, that he is going to be Hokage. And if Naruto had not known what he knew, he would have agreed. Except he knows that Uchiha Itachi is fallible. He is fallible because he decided to tell his 8-year-old brother that he killed his family for power, and that he should dedicate his life to felling him. This is the Itachi who, in the future, would acknowledge that maybe he made the wrong choice. Maybe if he had trusted his brother from the beginning, none of what happened would have happened. Itachi is fallible, and Naruto will fell him. He makes sure to eat his protein bars regularly, out of habit if nothing else. They don't sit well with his stomach, but he knows that however much he despises Sakura's piece of advice, it is definitely a helpful one. Many missions he and Sasuke had to take regularly breaks every 3 hours to have one of Sakura's specially made deluxe bars for traveling. Sakura really did take good care of them both. But these protein bars that he nicked from the market taste nowhere as good as hers did. Naruto shakes his head. He can't afford to think about things like that during such a volatile period. Ha! Another one of Ebisu's words of advice. He's on a roll today. Naruto suppresses the urge to yawn. It's been too long since he's actually participated in something so physically exhausting. How long has it been now since he started? A few hours? From the landscape it looked like he was coming up to the crater. The crater. Except it won't be a crater. The war hasn't happened. It will be a town. Naruto swallows harshly. He hadn't thought about it like that before. But he'd better hurry his speed up. He doesn't want to encounter anyone on his way there. And he isn't that great with Henges anyway. He can try, but knowing him, it'll probably fail. But then again, that's why he's got the hair dye. He halts to a stop at the edge of the forest bordering the fireside of Asuzuka. The first few rays of sunshine are rising, and from what he remembers from the mission report, Itachi starts the archaeological dig at 7:30 each morning. That gives him around 1.5 hours to get his stuff together. Should he try the henge? Might as well give it a go. So what if it's never been his forte? He can do it just fine. There's only the question if he'll be able to maintain it at a steady enough level not to alert a seasoned shinobi like Itachi. He does have the hair dye as backup though. He hasn't, and probably never will, master that weird technique Sakura has which imitates a normal chakra signature, allowing her to do weird shit underneath. But he's pretty sure he's allergic to that stuff, and it gives off a distinct smell that a shinobi will pick up, and hair dye can only do so much. A henge will be much more effective, a fact he remembers clearly learning when he saw a 12-year-old pretty Sakura turn into a much older, gangly Irika-sensei. Henge can do wonders. So, henge it is then. He'll never know unless he tries. Plus, once that's organized, he's got a good 3 days to observe the Uchiha and try to figure out a way to delay him. That's plenty of time. Taking a deep breath, Naruto readies himself for the henge. Sure, he can perform one, but can he perform one to the standard that Uchiha Itachi will not detect? Either way, he won't know until he tries. Believe, Naruto wills himself. Then, his hands whirl through the signs, dog, boar, ram. A puff of smoke lights around it. Quickly, Naruto waves it away and looks down. The henge looks successful for the most. A generic black hair and green eyes. Accidentally, perhaps, his eyes curve up in the same way Sakura's do, and his hair sticks up in the same, untamed way as Sasuke's. But Naruto brushes that away. This is not the time to think of that. First he has to find Itachi. And to do that he needs to use Sakura's technique. What were the hand signs again? Were there even hand signs? Naruto sighs. He can't remember. It was too many years ago. It looks like he'll have to rely on old-fashioned scouting. There doesn't seem to be much activity in the town. His senses aren't picking up many footsteps or sounds. That's good enough, he supposes. Even though Sakura's got her sophisticated chakra tricks, he still has good old Kyuubi-enhanced senses. Naruto reaches for another protein bar, swinging his backpack over his shoulder. Then he pauses. He hears something, light, almost undetectable, disappearing here and there, reappearing later. Footsteps. Coming here. Fast. Too fast for a civilian. Itachi? He can't know. Kami Sakura would be useful now. But it's definitely a shinobi or a samurai with that speed, and there aren't any samurai around in these parts. Naruto jumps up into the trees, cautiously avoiding making any sound. Being quiet has never been his strong point, Team 7 has never needed to be quiet. The big missions they'd rush in blaring, too powerful to be stopped anyway, and for the diplomatic missions, he knew everyone anyway so there was no need. The stealth missions? Well, Sasuke and Sakura took care of those. Be aware of your surroundings, Ebisu's voice rings out through his head. Naruto glances around him, taking note of every leaf and every branch, careful not to disrupt the environment. A small brush on a leaf could be the sound a seasoned shinobi needs to pick up a threat. Naruto strains his ears again, listening. The footsteps are coming closer, just as quiet. In fact, if it weren't for his QB-enhanced senses, he probably would never have picked up the sounds of these footsteps. This shinobi is good, Itachi good, he realizes with frightening clarity. Finally, a figure emerges from the gates of Asuzuka. Uchiha Itachi no longer obscures his footsteps, now that he's in plain view. But they're still quiet. Naruto supposes he can't be anything but perfect. I know you're there, Itachi says quietly. Naruto freezes. What? Did the air sense him already? He must be extremely sensitive to chakra, as sensitive as Sakura, or a Hyuga. But that can't be, he wouldn't have sensed him unless he was looking for him. Sure, Naruto's chakra control wasn't that good, but it wasn't that bad. Naruto stays silent, hyper-aware of his surroundings. Cautiously, his hands creep down to the weapons pouch he nicked from the academy. But he has no idea what the younger boy is thinking. His face is emotionless, a perfect mask. He stands still too, making no sign of whether he's to attack or not. Even at 13, Uchiha Itachi is a genius. I've already found you anyway so you might as well come out. Naruto stays deathly still, breath quiet as a graveyard. What is Itachi talking about? Naruto is growing more confused by the second, not to mention Itachi's just completely messed up all his plans so he's not quite sure where exactly to go from here. I've already caught you sneaking around Konoha. No one else has noticed but I have. And I already know who you are, Uchiha Madara. Why not come out and face me? Oh my god, Naruto thinks. He thinks my chakra signature is Uchiha Madara's. But it is a valid conclusion he supposes, now that he thinks about it. Itachi isn't at Sakura's level yet, which means he can't differentiate between different people's chakra, but he's sensitive enough to know that Naruto has extremely large reserves. Reserves only someone like Uchiha Madara would have. And Uchiha Madara had been sneaking around Konoha and Itachi had proposed that he help him massacre the Uchiha so that he would spare Konoha. Had they already had this talk? I know you're mad I took this mission, Itachi says quietly, but it was a necessity. I couldn't refuse the Hokage without looking suspicious, so Itachi is lying to Madara. No surprise there, but Itachi says, voice harder, we also agreed that you would leave me alone, and only appear before me when the orders were given. So take this as a warning. His eyes morph into the Sharingan and Naruto tenses, ready for a fight. Sure Sui is still alive so he doesn't have to worry about the Tsukuyomi, Susanoo or the Amaterasu, luckily, but Itachi is still an ANBU captain, and then he shoots forward, fast, like Raikage fast. But Naruto is Minato's son. He draws on nature chakra and throws himself to the side, hurtling across the trees. Itachi looks surprised, a minute twitch of the eyebrow, and he whirls around. But Naruto is already obscured in the leaves again. You're not Madara, Itachi says softly. Naruto pauses. He must be joking, right? He moved too fast for him to catch a glimpse of him. How could he know? Shit. That's right. He moved. If it were Madara he would have simply phased through with that annoying Sharingan technique of his. But he didn't. He dodged. Itachi looks suspicious. Too suspicious, and then he shunshins away. Fuck. Naruto thinks. Where did he go? Did he go back to Asuzuka? He reaches out with his chakra but he can't sense anything. Uchiha Itachi has completely obscured his chakra. I've got to calm down, he tells himself. If I were Uchiha Itachi what would I do? A new threat just emerged supposedly, one with a chakra signature as large as Uchiha Madara. He's tailing the Uchiha heir in the volatile weeks before the massacre. If it was Naruto, he would in Ebisu's words neutralize the threat, or, in Naruto's words, beat the crap out of him. But he was Itachi. What would Itachi do? He would report back to the Hokage. Uchiha Itachi is on his way back to Konoha. Shit. Naruto turns to rush away after him, jumping off the tree. Immediately, a swarm of ravens overwhelm him. A genjutsu. Naruto curses. He's always been terrible at breaking genjutsu. Sakura shudders as her Kage Bunshin dispels, giving her the rundown of her day at the academy. It's drained quite a bit of her chakra. No one has reserves like Naruto. But putting up an acceptable appearance is vital. Well, it isn't really vital, but Sakura really wants to keep an eye out on the administration's building. From what her Kage Bunshin feeds her, today has been the same as all the others. Everything had seemed normal on the surface. Ami was still carrying on her tirade against her. Naruto's grades were dropping again, as everyone predicted. Ino was still dominating the kunoichi section. Sasuke was still being an arrogant twat, except things felt forced. Disjointed. Sasuke's usual Uchiha cousin/buddy had disappeared and he seemed always on edge. Naruto was being a lot less rambunctious, and he always seemed preoccupied during classes with something or another. Even the clan kids were feeling the tense atmosphere in Konoha. And of course Irika-sensei was trying to put on a cheerful face, attempting to get everybody working like always. Except the date was starkly white on the chalkboard. This morning had marked November 16th. Sakura lets out a shaky breath, leaning back against her tree. She's standing guard up in the foliage of the administration's building, hinged as a squirrel. She scampers up the branch, grabbing a nut as she chews on it inconspicuously. Below her it's time for the changing of the guard. A new root platoon has come to relieve the previous one. From what she's managed to see and the chakra fluctuations she's detected, it seems as if root are hiding in the shadows while a small number of the Hokage's personal guard are stationed as civilians inside the building. A blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman walks into the administration's building, a standard brown duffel bag slung over her shoulder. Sakura narrows her eyes. There's something wrong there, but she can't tell what. She doesn't have enough chakra to perform any advanced sensory techniques, but she's got a hunch. There seems to be genjutsu at play there, which would be a smart move, she supposes. The Hyuga are the only ones who can seamlessly see through genjutsu, and there certainly wouldn't be any in the administration's building. Their eyes were a dead giveaway, thus ruling them out for undercover missions like these. And her bag. What was in there? They had planned to burn the files. Explosives? No, they had fire jutsu for that. But actually, no, they would use explosives. Fire jutsu would easily trace back to the Uchiha. Sakura scampers down the tree and to the door of the administration's building. Have the guards picked up on the intruder? She peeks in. The Uchiha is exchanging niceties with the Hokage's disguised ANBU. All seems normal, but then again the Hokage's ANBU are the best. She probably wouldn't be able to tell if anything was wrong. The hidden Uchiha reaches into her bag and shows the ANBU what seems to be an identification card. The ANBU smiles and waves her into the records. Sakura hisses. What is he doing? But then, behind his back, the ANBU makes a hand signal. Sakura relaxes. He's going with the ANBU strategy 4E codename Rabbit Hide, catching the culprit in the middle of the crime. But knowing the importance of some of those records, he'll have to be quick and precise in his timing. But Sakura doesn't have to worry. He's one of the Hokage's personal ANBU, and if anyone can do it, he can. Satisfied, Sakura scampers away towards the Hokage tower. She supposes she's been lucky. She wouldn't have actually been able to do anything. The Kage Bunshin had sucked up heaps of her chakra, and that on top of having to keep up her seamless chakra cloak has pretty much stopped her from doing anything else. As much as she has tried, her chakra levels are still not what they used to be, especially with the strength of 100 seals she's been developing. She had thought about foregoing the Kage Bunshin and simply calling in a sick day, however she was beginning to think that Danza may have been quicker in tracing her note than she had planned. She had felt eyes on her recently, but she wasn't sure who they were from. The Hyuga were a likely possibility, but so was Root. Behind her, Sakura hears the commotion. The Uchiha attack has been thwarted. She smiles softly and continues on her path to the Hokage tower. After all, she can't leave without seeing what happens, can she? Once again, she thanks her perfect chakra control. She may not be as fast as Sasuke and Naruto, or have the same kick-ass, flashy jutsu and dojutsu, but her perfect chakra control gives her perfect use over sensory jutsu, genjutsu, and medical jutsu. They were the frontliners and she worked behind the scenes. Perhaps that was why she ended up with Root. Sakura skids to a halt outside the Hokage tower and looks up. An ANBU is stationed outside the window. Quickly, she darts up the adjacent tree, ears perked. Tiger-san, the Hokage is saying, come in. He opens the window and the ANBU slips in. A second later, a sound barrier slams around the room. It's a strong one, and Sakura won't be able to break it with the chakra she has left. Frowning, Sakura reaches up into her forehead. She isn't happy with wasting probably a good 3 months worth of storing, but this is important. This is vital. At their compound, Hokage-sama. I have exiled them there until you can decide on a way to deal with this situation. They will have to be there a while longer. I need to consult with the council. Of course, Hokage-sama. ANBU Tiger darts back outside and shunsins towards the Uchiha compound. Sakura relaxes, letting out a shaky breath. Her job is done. The attack was thwarted, the Uchiha exiled into their compound until further action can be decided. She can now finally go home and have a well-deserved rest. So she does. For the first time in what seems to be forever, she sinks down on her couch and reads one of her mother's sappy romance books. The heroine is an idiot, the hero unrealistic, but it's a perfect respite from what she's been going through the past 30 years. So she reads until the sun sets. It is only a second after she puts the book down, moon halfway in the sky, that she screeches. Her parents rush down. What's wrong? And she responds quickly with spider or something of the like. But her mind is too busy whirling because she sensed Uchiha Itachi back from his mission 3 days early. On the same day as the Uchiha attack on the administration's building, Sakura darts out of her house, hinging into a squirrel just before she reaches her door and locks onto his chakra signature, keeping high on his tail. This complicates things immensely. Everything she had been thinking, was it wrong? Is he coming back to help with the attack? No, he's heading in the direction of the Hokage tower, which is on the other side of town, and he's too late anyway. But why would he return early? Sakura pauses at the foot of the tree next to the Hokage tower. Itachi is perched on the windowsill, It seems as if another 3 months is going to go to waste, but she will waste it all her progress if she needs. She scurries up the tree and watches with trembling eyes as Uchiha Itachi jumps past her and onto the windowsill. Itachi, even the Hokage is surprised. This can't be good. And then another voice, Itachi, Danza's voice. Itachi jumps in and another sound barrier jumps up. Sakura breaks through it with ease. I sensed an intruder, Hokage-sama. Are you aware of recent events? Danza cuts in quietly. Today's events? Itachi falls silent. No, he finally says. The Uchiha attempted to launch an attack on the civilian sector, Sarutobi says softly. That can't be, Itachi says quickly. I would have known. But you didn't, Danza stresses. And then quietly, you know what must be done. Sakura freezes, her breath caught in her throat. No. It's too early. It's only the 16th, and last time it was on the 26th. But this is what she wanted, right? No, it isn't what she wants. It isn't what anyone wants. But that doesn't matter. Because it has to happen. The Uchiha had gone too far. But still, everything is different this time around. Shursui is still alive. That means that Itachi doesn't have the Manjikyu. But is he strong enough to? Yes, he has Madara. But everything's changed now. Yes, Itachi says numbly. But promise me that you'll keep Sasuke safe. And he sounds 13. He's just a boy. And Sasuke, I will, Danza says calmly. Of course, Sarutobi says. Of course. Itachi bursts out the window but pauses on the tree outside, only a few feet from Sakura. She freezes, heart beating wildly in her chest, looking up in horror at the man who indirectly defined her whole childhood. Then he sighs a heavy, guttural sigh and launches off onto the rooftops. It's happening, Sakura registers numbly. It's happening. Her grip on the branch is tenuous. Her grip on herself is tenuous. She's done it. It's happened. But it feels wrong. It feels like betrayal, as if she's ripped Sasuke apart again. Dear Sasuke, her Sasuke. The Sasuke she fell in love with, she's destroyed again. Faint, Sakura falls back, off the tree. She drops her henge on the way down, and lands softly on the soles of her feet. But she sways, as if drunk, as if dying. Why does it feel this way? It shouldn't. Root had trained her to feel no emotion. But she does. She misses her teammates. Naruto. Sasuke, Team 7. Sakura steels herself. What's happened has happened, but the least she can do is mitigate the damage. If she can just prevent Sasuke from coming home and seeing Itachi standing over his parents' dead bodies, can prevent him from getting Manjikyu, then maybe, she can justify what she's. Sakura shakes her head and shoots off, honing in on Sasuke's chakra signature. Their years together make it easy, she can find it in a heartbeat. She'll need to delay him, plaster on her 8-year-old facade, seem happy and oblivious. He's probably in the compound, or maybe they let the kids out. But she'll have to draw him away from that area of Konoha, maybe Konoha Park? That's a good distance away. Sakura chews on her lip, willing her emotional facade not to crack. She needs to hold it together. She must. But all she can think is, I'm sorry, Sasuke. Sasuke frowns. His clan had taken all the necessary precautions. No one who wasn't a high-ranking Uchiha knew of the plan, and they'd taken to heart his little snippet about the bads. Itachi hadn't known either. Not that his brother was there during the discussions anyway, doing some stupid C-rank mission. It probably wasn't even a C-rank, just another one of the Hokage's ploys to separate him from the Uchiha. Not that he was there for the discussions either, but at least he knew of their occurrence. Sasuke scowls, staring up at the academy building with disgust. His clan was put on exile too, everyone inside the compound except for the errand boys and little children. And he classified as little children, except he didn't really have anywhere else to go apart from his compound. It's night now, but exactly what time he isn't sure. Konoha markets and anywhere around the inner city places are bad news at this time, at least for a boy of his age. The academy is as secluded as he can get, really. But if anyone threatening does stumble on him, it's not as if he can't handle them, because, well, he's powerful now. Sasuke sits down on the swing, looking up at the waning moon. He has all these tricks up his sleeves, and now that he's so much more conscious of the world around him, he's reaping the full benefits of clan training. And, like anyone of smart mind would do, he's been training himself in areas he wasn't so good at last time around. It was Shursui, actually, who really pounded that into him. He had been so focused on his speed and all his physical capabilities that he hadn't seen that the thing which let him down most was rash action. He didn't think things through. Maybe that was why Sakura managed to still beat him in some fights, despite the clear power difference. Sakura was smart. Very smart. He and Naruto, well, they just ambled along after her. On the other hand, Naruto. He was a whole other story. They were like two sides of the same coin, both brash, powerful to the nth degree. They were constantly striving to be better, the best, and only Sakura could mellow them down. Team 7 was widespread destruction. He sorta misses Team 7. Sasuke stands up, quickly moving away from the swing. He needs to stop thinking about Team 7, and how that was the swing Naruto always used to. Damn it. He sighs and runs a hand through his hair. So many things are happening to him, to his family, What the bloody hell does he care about Team 7? Sasuke-kun! Oh great! Sasuke lets out a shaky breath as Sakura binds forwards. Sasuke-kun, she coos, what are you doing out here? Sasuke cringes. There's just something that always stabs him when he sees Sakura and Naruto. Powerful, dare he say it, even wonderful people regress into naive 8-year-olds who don't understand, who'll never understand. Sakura, a fangirl again, who loves him because of his pretty face. Naruto, an obnoxious brat who craves attention. Hello Sakura, he says softly, too tired to shoo her away. For a fraction of a second he sees something flicker in her eyes, the same world weariness, the same tiredness. But it's gone again and Sasuke thinks, the moonlight is really tripping me up tonight. Do you want to go somewhere? Sakura asks, her voice high and squeaky. No, Sasuke deadpans. Let's go to Konoha Park. Sakura suggests, completely ignoring his answer. No, Sasuke repeats. Konoha Park is on the other side of town, a good half an hour, maybe more away from his compound. He's not trekking that far this late at night for a girl, not for this girl at this age. Maybe later. But not now. Never now. Please Sasuke, she says, and she tugs on his sleeve and makes the most painful expression. Tears seem to be just below the surface and Sasuke begins to freak out because why is she about to cry? He hasn't done anything. Then he freezes. He senses Itachi, coming back, sprinting back, towards the compound. What's he doing back so early? In front of him Sakura is unmoving too, eyes glassy, her large smile frozen on her face. She chokes. Then her hand lets go of his sleeve and drops to her side. I have to go, Sasuke whispers. No, Sakura whispers, frantically. No. Don't go. Sasuke, but he needs to do because Kami, what is his Onyaisen doing the gate guards? Where did their chakra signature disappear? Oh Kami, it's happening. Shushin no Jutsu, Sasuke whispers quietly, for once thanking his incredible speed. He moves fast and disappears, a millisecond before Sakura's immobilizing jutsu hits the tree behind him. He's running to the compound now, but he can hear them calling in his head, Sakura, Naruto, incessant callings of Sasuke through time and space, but his family, Itachi, what are they doing? Konoha, what are they doing? Sasuke smells the blood before he sees it. The Uchiha massacre for Naruto Kotetsu starts in surprise. Naruto barely grunts in response, simply rushing past the gate guards and into Konoha. He leaps up into the treetops. There's a special route in the sky for emergencies that will take the ninja straight to the Hokage Tower. And this is definitely an emergency. Itachi's already here, no doubt. He had tried to catch up, but the fact was that the genjutsu and Itachi's age advantage ran him out. And there's the worst sinking feeling in his gut that he's late. Like Kakashi, but so much worse. It's still night, but there's a dead atmosphere in Konoha, a painful one, and he's calling out to Sasuke with his mind, but it all seems so hopeless. Naruto drops down from the treetops outside the tower. There aren't any ninja about, surprisingly. Usually there's always one or two bustling around, even at this time of the night. But it's all the better for him. Naruto slips in, too frazzled to hide his footsteps, and flies up the stairs he's taken millions of times in his life, but none have ever felt this urgent. Naruto barrels through the door, too upset to use the doorknob. It fractures underneath his pressure, giving away to reveal the two occupants inside. Sarutobi sits at his desk, his head in his hands, completely unreacting to Naruto's entrance. Danzu is staring at him with narrowed eyes. Ascending, Naruto utters, too overwhelmed to call the Hokage anything but his title. Sarutobi looks up and smiles sadly. Naruto, he says heavily, as if the world is on his shoulders. Next to him Danzu sweeps up his cloak, eyeing Naruto carefully before picking up the scroll on the desk. I'll be leaving now then, he says, bowing his head a fraction at the Hokage before sweeping out of the room. Naruto trembles, watching him leave with frenzied eyes. Well then Naruto, Sarutobi says quietly. What brings you here at this hour? Naruto's head whips around. He stutters before swallowing harshly. He's not sure what to say now that he's finally here. Everything he wanted to ask, everything that had been building up to this moment, he's forgotten. Because Sasuke, poor Sasuke, where's Itachi? He blurts out. I had that mission he went on, right? The one to Asuzuka. I recommended it to him. I did, and he said he'd tell me how it went, but he hasn't written to me yet, and I am worried. The Hokage eyes him heavily, silently, and Naruto knows. He knows he's too late, that Sasuke is suffering and that years later he's going to leave again and chase after his stupid brother. Goddammit Itachi. Why couldn't he have been born earlier? He had this chance, and he blew it. Sasuke, poor Sasuke. He needs to get to Sasuke. Maybe he can stop him before he gets there. Maybe he's not home yet. But who's he kidding? It's 2 a.m, he must be home. But he doesn't know. If only he had Sakura's skills and could sense where he was. But he never needed to because they were Team 7. But he has to try. I have to go, Naruto says seriously. Sarutobi sits up straighter and watches him carefully. Finally, he sighs. Yes. You do. Goodbye, Naruto. And Naruto winces because he hates that word, goodbye. But he grits his teeth and bears it because that's not his first priority right now, no. Sasuke is? Goodbye, he says gutturally. Then he turns around and rushes out the door, down the stairs, not looking, blindly thinking, I must find Sasuke. Something grabs his arm and jerks him into the bushes nearby. Naruto opens his mouth to scream, but then a cloth is muffled over his mouth, drenched in some strange mixture of herbs. One of Sakura's blends, Naruto thinks dimly. Designed to knock out ninja. He's done for. No, what's he thinking? He's forgotten his nindo. A ninja never goes back on his word. He has to fight back so that he can help Sasuke. He can't just stand here not doing anything. Naruto spins around and kicks blindly, hoping to hit something. His attacker curves back, but Naruto manages to clip bone with his foot. He obviously wasn't expecting an attack. The kick manages to get his attacker to loosen his hold just a fraction, and Naruto twists away and kicks again, stumbling back. His attacker doubles over and Naruto takes the opportunity to quickly reach into his pouch and grab some kunai and shuriken. The weapons aren't the best quality. They were nicked from the academy after all, and Naruto realizes with sickening dread that that could very well mean his downfall. His attacker reorientates himself and looks up, and Naruto freezes. His attacker is an ANBU. Impossible. Naruto staggers back, mind whirling. His opponent is much stronger than he'd anticipated. ANBU never give up, which means he'll have to neutralize the threat before he can do anything else. But ANBU is strong, and he's 5. Come on, Naruto thinks to himself, what are your options? His attacker lunges forward again, hands whirling through seals. Damn it. He can't let the ANBU finish whatever jutsu that is. Naruto rushes forward, hands quickly forming one seal. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. 10 clones appear around him, 9 of which immediately pounce on the ANBU. It won't stall him for long, but it'll stall him long enough for Naruto to formulate a plan. His run back has tired him, so he's not at his strongest. His taijutsu is definitely a no, and his genjutsu even more of a no. Sealing? He's good, but it's useless without ink. Sage mode is one of his biggest trump cards, but he can't reach it now. It requires a strong host body, and at 8 he'll have it for 10 seconds tops before it goes. And there's still the risk of turning into a frog, which leaves his last trump card. In front of him, the ANBU withdraws a blade from his cloak and lunges forward. Naruto darts back, his last remaining clone next to him, as both run through a series of seals. This technique has never failed him. Rasengan. The ANBU doesn't expect it, and Naruto's small stature makes him all the while harder to catch. The Rasengan whirls into being and impales the attacker through the stomach, and he slumps back. He's not dead. No, an ANBU would take more than that to take down. But he should be incapacitated long enough for Naruto to finally get Sasuke, and then another hand clamps over him and wrenches him back. Naruto twists forward, jerking his attacker's elbow. He stares up at the mask, ANBU as well, but then another pair of arms grab him, and another, and they push him down. He looks around frantically for his other Kage Bunshin, but he's been destroyed. By the other attackers, no doubt. Naruto curses. He'd been careless, only thinking there was one attacker. Crap. Sakura or even Sasuke would have been able to warn him usually. Damn it. One of his attackers hisses. We underestimated him. Is he okay? Naruto twists again, but his attacker has a blade pointed straight at his face. The same blade as his first attacker. Naruto stills, teeth clenched. Fuckity fuck. 3 attackers, 4, including the one he took down. This is a fully fledged squad. Naruto peers closer at the blade pointed at his face. It's not a usual one. In fact, it looks more like a tipless tanto. Naruto stills. ANBU masks, tipless tantos. Naruto is dealing with Root. Turns out Danzu really did suspect him after all. But how much did he know? He can't prove anything. At least, Naruto hopes. Shit, maybe he should have paid more attention to Sakura when she was teaching him about the law system of Konoha. He'll live, the attacker with the blade at his face says, withdrawing it before walking over to the fallen member. I'll carry him. Free of the blade, Naruto cranes his head to look up, but the last attacker grabs his skull and pushes him down again. A second later, manacles clamp over his hands and ankles. Shit, he tests the manacles, but they're strong. Strong enough to hold a jounin. But since they're so powerful, they're made for adult limbs. An 8-year-old's wrists and ankles will allow for a bit more movement. It's not much, but it's all he needs. Good for nothing brat, the first voice says, and judging by his tone, the commander. Always suspicious, looking into things you shouldn't be looking into. That cubey little shit is always up to something. Shut up, Ju, the second voice says. You should have learned by now not to speak during missions. I may be new to Jaima, the first voice curls. Naruto dreams of punching him in the face. But I am favored. You should watch your tongue. The hand retracts from his skull and Naruto looks up. Ju, the first voice, is cleaning up the scene. Dejima, the second voice, has the injured one hoisted on his back. Let's go, he grunts. The remaining member grabs Naruto by the scruff of his neck and slings him over his back. Naruto takes the opportunity of the movement to dislocate his shoulder, bringing his hands together. It hurts, but Naruto's gone through worse. Luckily, the clang of the manacles disguises the sound. We should hurry, Dejima says. Yes, Ju agrees. The 3 jump up into the foliage and begin running. Considering their direction, they seem to be heading towards the outskirts of Konoha. Naruto grits his teeth. He's being carried further and further away from Sasuke. What are they be doing there anyway? On the night of the massacre? Whatever it is though, it definitely doesn't bode well and he needs to get to Sasuke. He begins to shift his hands, turning them so that they face each other, ready for seals. His attackers have begun to slow, reaching an isolated clearing. This does not look good, and Naruto's not going to stay to see what interrogation plans Danza has in store for him. It's now or never. Doton, Doryuden, he hisses, his fingers flying through the signs of ram, horse and dragon. A dragon head emerges from the ground and encases him and the ANBU. It leaves a small air bubble around him but wraps itself around the ANBU in a cocoon, breaking his grasp on Naruto. Naruto takes the opportunity of the ANBU's distraction to flip through more seals: snake, ram, dog, rat, snake, tiger. His arm transforms into rock, breaking free of the manacles. He flips through more seals, lightning fast, futon, Renkiden. He takes a deep breath and blows, breaking through the rock. It splinters and the shards fly out, carried along by his wind bullets. They scatter, straight out onto the awaiting three members. Naruto glances back quickly. The one carrying him is still encased in the rock. One is down from his Rasengan. All he needs to take care of now are the two left, Dejima and Ju. Two ANBU against an 8-year-old kid. This isn't looking fair to Naruto, which means time to pull the big guns. Naruto bends down and picks up the kunai pack of the ANBU he disabled. I knew you were suspicious, Ju hisses. You, an 8-year-old, should not be able to do that. Then, in an unspoken signal, he and Dejima lunge in unison. Naruto smiles. His body may be small and unable to sustain Sage Mode for long, but he can sustain it enough. His eyes burn yellow, rimmed with orange, and he raises two kunai, blocking the incoming attacks. Dejima and Ju slam into him, making him skid back, but Naruto jumps up. Their old momentum swings them forward and Naruto takes the fraction of the second it takes them to recover to spin through another jutsu. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Another clone appears, equal in strength, and jumps towards Dejima. Naruto turns to face Ju. Confident you'll beat me? Naruto says. Yes, Ju replies, and though Naruto can't see his face, he knows that he is smiling. And that, Naruto says, is what has won me many battles. And then he lunges, much faster than Ju expects, and slices with his kunai. Ju parries at the last moment, but it's not enough. While he has saved his heart, Naruto still catches his stomach. Ju hisses and reaches for his blade, but Naruto doesn't give him any time. Kaze no Yaiba, Naruto whispers, a blade of wind forming at his fingertips, so powerful that it's invisible to the naked eye. He brushes his hand to Ju's chest and it ruptures, so violently and forcefully that his body snaps back. The blood splatters out and Naruto jerks back, but it's not enough. The blood cakes itself over his body. Behind him, Dejima's unconscious drops to the ground. Dejima's unconscious body. Dejima, Hyo, the other one, they were all incapacitated. But he killed Ju. Not his clones, he did? Naruto did. Naruto steps back shakily. What has he done? This is by far not his first kill, but it's the first in this life. He begins to tremble and his fingernails have blood underneath, but why doesn't he feel anything? Has he become apathetic to it all? Naruto steps back from the carnage. Slowly, measuredly, the emptiness scares him. Why is it so empty? Because Sasuke. Because before Sasuke was his moral compass, his other side. Whatever Sasuke did was too violent, too unnecessary, too wrong. But now that there's no Sasuke, what is he anymore? No, he can't think like this. This is not who he is. But who is he? Sasuke would know. Sakura would know. He can't think like this. Naruto turns around and runs. Sasuke walks slowly away from his compound, the blood of the gate guard staining the soles of his shoes. He didn't have to walk inside to know what had happened. The smell of blood was pungent. So pungent he wasn't sure how he hadn't managed to smell it the last time around. It was one of the downsides of being more conscious this time around. While he knew how to forward himself in his training, make himself strong, his increased mental capabilities had also meant that he had understood and loved these people more. Elder Mako, always so stern usually, had a soft spot for little Sasuke. He had heard his uncles whispering about it bemusedly once. His Okasan, always looking out for him, and Itachi. His Otasan, strict, stern, but he loved people in his own way. Shursui. Sasuke freezes. The loss of his footsteps leave the cold Konoha night in harsh silence. Danza, what did Danza covet most? Shursui's eyes. And Danza would not let the massacre happen if he didn't have Shursui's eyes. But Shursui was alive and well when the exiling was happening. Which means that either he's inside, and dead, or he's with Danzu. Sasuke smiles sardonically. He's hit the bottom now. The only way he can go is up. Sure, he hasn't been able to find Danzu, but then again in his past life he had only seen and fought the man once or twice. But Shursui, he had been spending days, weeks, months, years with that guy. He's in tune to Shursui. He can find Shursui, and if he can find Shursui, he can find Danzu. Sasuke begins to chuckle quietly, darkly. His family has been taken once again. Kami knows how, and they're going to pay. Danzu is going to pay. He did not come back to live through the pain once again. Itachi. Why did they make him do this? Sasuke flexes his hand, feeling the lightning at his fingertips. If he finds Danzo tonight, he can't guarantee he'll be able to walk through Konoha a free ninja. Naruto and Sakura, well, they aren't here. Sasuke takes a deep breath and closes his eyes, thinking back to Sakura's signature jutsus. He can't detect identities yet, but he can sort of get a feel for the power level of the signature. Kami knows it saved his and Naruto's butts enough times. Those days Sakura wasn't with them. Sasuke reaches out and stills. He feels two very powerful ones together, out in a forest on the border of Konoha. It must be Danzo and Shursui. Because it's the night of the massacre, and the Hokage has thus relieved all active ninjas so that none might sense the massacre, the terror. If two very powerful signatures are active, are fighting, then it's Danzo, stealing his cousin's eyes. Sasuke shunshins through Konoha, his mind whirling, dying. How much of this can he take before it's too much? Chasing revenge, then chasing the truth. Sasuke stops a few ways away. The night air is cold, the light is weak. A lifetime ago the massacre had occurred on the full moon. This time the moon is dying. He looks down at the floor. Danzo's personal bodyguard, 4 of them, are incapacitated on the floor. One is dead, his chest spilling out, mingling with the forest floor. An unexpected advantage. Without Danzo's personal root guard, he'll be easier to take care of. He won't question it, not anything which helps him. This is his chance, to destroy the man who has evaded him all this time. One man shakes but Sasuke moves past him. They are only distractions. Danzo is his main goal. He listens carefully but hears nothing. He closes his eyes again and concentrates, searching for the chakra signatures. They've moved now, and by the looks of it the fight has gone more intense. Sasuke shunshins again. If he's quick, maybe Shursui will be okay. Maybe someone won't leave him this time around, maybe he won't be alone. Sasuke runs through the forest, blindly searching for the two, and then he chokes. In front of him, Danzo pulls out the right eye of Uchiha Shursui, his mentor, his trainer, his brother's best friend and his too. Shursui looks up and his eyes widen in surprise. He reaches out with a hand to Sasuke, to stop him or call for him, but in his momentary lapse Danzo sticks a kunai between his ribs. Uchiha Shursui dies, eyes on Sasuke. Danzo looks up and Sasuke screams and his eyes begin to burn. There's pain. So much pain and burning and fire, and he's dying, but he's not because he's being reborn. But amidst all this he can hear Danzo. You shouldn't be here, you shouldn't be here. But his eyes, what are they doing? Why is he going through this again? He's gone through it once already. Once should be enough. Kami, why do you do this? You take everything. You took Naruto and Sakura and now you're taking my family too. Sasuke's eyes snap open. Danzo has his hand over his eye, adjusting to the new addition, but when he looks at Sasuke he stumbles back. Impossible, he hisses. How? Sasuke staggers forward. You killed him. Yes, you're 8, and this form Hyo. Dejima. Amaterasu, Sasuke whispers, and black flames envelop Danzo. Die. Danzo curls back, burning, but he reaches out through the flames nonetheless to unwrap the bandages on his arms. Sasuke's left eye widens and he can feel the strain, the blood beginning to pool at his tear ducts. But one of Danzo's Sharingan closes and Amaterasu disappears. Izanagi. That bastard, Sasuke hisses. You're going to do this? You're going to do this again? Danzo stares at him steadily. You. How did you get the Manjikyu? You can't be doing this again, Sasuke says, half delirious. You have 10 minutes left to live, 1 for each bastard eye on your arm. You're going to try to take me down, again. In the 10 minutes you have? Danzo eyes him steadily before rushing forward. Futon, Shinkajoku. Sasuke narrows his eyes. That was the exact same jutsu Danzo had peppered him with a lifetime ago, after his Amaterasu failed. Except last time he used his summoning jutsu, and this time around he didn't have one. The wind bullets fly towards him, but he thinks, at least his body is smaller this time, easier to dodge. Except they're in a clearing, there's nowhere to go. Susanoo, he whispers, and a skeletal rib cage forms around his body. Die. He screams again and a hand reaches out and grabs Danzo, crushing him. And then, fucking Izanagi, Danzo appears again. You can't win, Sasuke repeats. Every time you use Izanagi you lose a majority of your chakra. You've just fought Shursui. You will die. Hell, you're dying anyway. Why take me down with you? Tell me, Danzo says steadily, how did you get your Sharingan? Sasuke smiles sardonically. Don't ask stupid questions. Danzo grabs some shuriken and blows a wind jutsu onto them, throwing the disc straight at Sasuke. Do not try to kill me, Sasuke hisses, and he swipes the discs away with his Susanoo and reaches out, clasping Danzo in its grip. Tell me, Danzo wheezes out, but Sasuke crushes him with his Susanoo. You cannot hold that form forever, Danzo says from behind him, saved by Izanagi again. This jutsu is based on strong emotion. You've just killed my family. I have plenty of strong emotions. But you are 8, Danzo says quietly. You are young. Sasuke grits his teeth. He's right, but all he needs to do is die in the next fucking 10 minutes. Chidori, he hisses, and his Sharingan blares. He runs forward, Chidori blazing almost half the size of his small body, and he impales Danzo through the stomach, pinning him against the tree. What were you doing here with Shursui? Sasuke sneers, tying up loose ends. Because that's all we are to you, right? Uchiha Sasuke, Danza says quietly, still pinned to the tree. I know I will die. Yes, but perhaps you may be saved. You have not yet turned against Konoha, only me. Do not attempt to. I am not attempting anything, Danza says, just listen to me. Sasuke smiles, half crazed. What could you possibly have to say? Leave Konoha alone, Danza says. I do not know how you have come into such power, but leave Konoha alone. You have nothing to give me. You think I could possibly consider Sasuke-kun? He hears in his mind. Sakura, innocent Sakura, talking to him just a few hours ago, by the swing, the academy swing Naruto used to sit on, staring dejectedly, jealously at him. The two are weak now, and small, fragile. What would they do without him? Kami knows wave would kill them both. No. He can't think like that. Konoha will burn, Sasuke says steadily. It will, at least, Danza says quietly, not today? Sasuke resists the urge to scream in frustration. Why is this man so infuriating? He almost reminds him of Naruto, or Sakura. You deserve to die. Painfully, and I will. Amaterasu will finish me, Sasuke snarls. You better hope so. Then he withdraws his arm from Danza's stomach, quickly flipping through seals. Konoha will burn. But not today. Naruto and Sakura deserve a chance, at least, after what he did a lifetime ago. I hope you know, Sasuke says, that Konoha is spared today of no reason on your behalf. You wouldn't have been able to do anything anyway, Danza says quietly. My fight with you has tired you. My mission is accomplished, Sasuke snarls. Doton, Yomi Numa. He jumps back to the border of the clearing, the floor beneath Danza turning into liquid mud. An A-rank earth release, Danza says quietly as the mud swallows him up slowly. Who are you exactly? Where did you get the Sharingan? Sasuke watches as he sinks lower and lower into the mud, unanswering. Humor me, Danza sighs, I'm dying anyway. Tell me, just then you activated your Manjikyu. But that means that you had the Sharingan before. How did you get it? Sasuke stares down at the man who started it all. I had two friends, a long time ago, he finally says. I realized very young this life that they, the ones I knew, at least, were no longer with me. And it had been my fault. I killed them. They must have been good friends, Danza says quietly. Sasuke takes a deep, shaky breath, raising one hand up to his bleeding eye. They were the best, he says, and then he turns and runs. Sakura. Sakura looks down at the inconspicuous note on her doorstep. It must have been left there recently. It hadn't been there when she left the house, which can only mean one thing. Now that the massacre has been carried out, Danzu is tying up loose ends. And she is one of them. Haruno Sakura, the note reads, The Honorable Konoha Elder Shimura Danzu requests your presence immediately. Below, a set of numbers are scratched, coordinates to a clearing in Konoha Forest. She has been there before, on past endeavors with Root. Sakura sighs, looking up at the waning moon. It seems as if Danzu has somehow traced her. He works quicker than she had expected. But she'll have to go, it seems. Sakura flips the note over. Haruno Nanami. Haruno Tsubasa. Following her parents' names are their occupations, their work addresses and their citizenship numbers. It's a not-so-subtle threat, but she won't be coming unprepared. The clearing is ideal in the fact that it is secluded, and knowing Danzu and his group of personal bodyguards, they've probably placed a barrier around the area. Not that there'll be many people actively sensing tonight. With the massacre, the Hokage's probably shut down all active ninja, but she's quite sure about why she's been taken there. It's an interrogation. Sakura grabs her own customized Hyuga weapons pack and straps it underneath her dress. Then she arms herself with various poisons and antidotes that she's been brewing. They're nothing strong at all, seeing as the only ingredients she can get at the moment are basic, but anything will help. Swallowing harshly, Sakura jumps away, making sure the door is locked on her sleeping parents. It won't do much against what Danza might send, but it gives her a shaky peace of mind for the time being. Sakura jumps up onto the rooftops, following the all-too-familiar path to the clearing. All of Konoha is in a dreadful light tonight. Even though she can't see or smell the blood, she knows that it's there. And it's the knowing which makes shivers crawl up her spine. Shudders of fear and disgust at the death that she caused, but the death which was inevitable. Sakura shakes her head, continuing towards her end. Danza is expecting her, no doubt, with this current time's bodyguards in tow. Maybe he has a Yamanaka in his throes and he'll mind walk her. But Ino's cousin Fu didn't join until later, she was sure. Or if he was, he isn't strong enough to be a bodyguard. But just in case, inner Sakura is ready to attack. Sakura begins to smell blood, the metallic tinge wafting up her nose. The Uchiha. No, Sakura realizes suddenly, the Uchiha are on the other side of town. This blood is coming from somewhere else. This blood is coming from the clearing. Immediately Sakura quickens her pace, shunshin ing through the streets, hurrying towards the clearing in the forest. What has happened? Danzu is there, but if there's blood, Sakura skids to a halt. In front of her lie the bodies of 4A and B Root, signified by their white masks and tipless tanto, 4 of them. This close to the clearing. Danzu's bodyguards? Cautiously, Sakura suppresses her chakra, moving silently onwards towards the clearing. She closes her eyes and listens, feels. She doesn't hear anything aside from the usual forest activity, but she senses a rapidly weakening chakra signal. Danzu. Her heart begins to beat faster and faster. What's happened? Why, how dash? Determinedly she leaps up onto the branches and continues on towards the clearing, mind whirling but strangely blank. She skids to a halt at the edge of the clearing. In the middle, Danzu lies buried in mud. Next to him, the dead body of Uchiha Sasuke lies stagnant. They fought, Sakura realizes, and Danzu won. She peers closer. No. He hasn't won. The top of his arm is peeking out from the mud and she sees the Sharingan implanted in his arms, closed eyes. He used his Anaji. Danzu is about to die. Sakura jumps down from the tree, dropping her chakra cloak. Danzu looks up slowly as she approaches. I'm dying, he says. There's nothing you can do to help. Sakura's finger twitches. To help? How do you know I come with friendly intentions? You are connected to Root, Danzu says. The coding would otherwise be impossible. A relative, perhaps, of a current member, or a spy who went rogue, disguised as a little civilian girl. But I suppose the latter is untrue, considering you came after the threat to your parents. Why did you kill him? Sakura asked quietly, eyes turning towards Sasuke. He didn't need to die, but his eyes would eventually be beneficial. But he didn't need to die. And now look, his eyes are useless anyway. You're dying. Of Amaterasu, yes. Unfortunately. But the Uchiha are coming down with me. Sasuke's body next to mine, they'll assume he killed me, an honorable Konoha council member. The Uchiha are stained. The council will keep a close eye on the remaining boy. The Uchiha will never be free. You didn't have to do that, Sakura says quietly, shaking her head. It was necessary. No, it wasn't. Sakura steps back, one step then two. I see now, she says shakily, eyes widening. The massacre, it had to happen. It did, I knew that. But the reason it had to happen was because you isolated the Uchiha first. If you had never done that in the first place, this would never have had to happen. You can say all you want about saving Konoha, but you wanted the eyes. All this time, it was the eyes. The Uchiha were a flight risk. My best friend is an Uchiha. And I will not let you drag them down with you. Danzu narrows his eyes. What are you doing, girl? Who are you? Sakura's hands whirl through seals, tiger, ox, monkey, rabbit, ram, boar. Don't you dare, Danzu hisses. Ox, horse, monkey, tiger, dog, tiger. That's an A-rank water jutsu, how do you know? Snake, tiger, ox, monkey, rabbit, bird. Suetun, Daibakufu no jutsu, Sakura whispers. Then she blows and the water pours from her mouth into the sky, rising up and up and up like a waterfall, like Zabuza's did all those lifetimes ago. And she brings it down, crashing, cascading onto the floor with such force the ground gives way and splinters. When the water flows away, the remnants of the clearing resemble a natural disaster. Sasuke's body is gone. As are Danzu's bodyguards. Your plan will never come to fruition, Sakura says quietly. Danzu is soaked but he remains. Sasuke's mud jutsu is very strong, it seems. Sasuke suicided by jumping into the waterfall. Now his body is gone the same way. No one will ever use it again. How could you do this? Danzu begins. But then he begins to sag and Sakura watches, for her, for Naruto, for Sasuke, as his last Sharingan, Sasuke's Sharingan, closes. His Izanagi is completed. Then his body bursts into black flames again, Sasuke's Amaterasu eating and burning away at his flesh. Danzu closes his eyes and succumbs to the flames, body slowly burning to dust. And Sakura watches. Watches with a careful, medical eye. Make sure that Sasuke's eye is devoured by the flame, never to be used, mistreated, ever again. And Danzu dies, his last thoughts about two boys and a girl who knew too much. What if Naruto only saved Uchiha women in Uchiha Massacre time travel? And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoyed this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel, and leave a like if you guys need the next part, comment down and thanks for watching the video, and see you guys in the next video.